It is a toga party at James Slater Field, which can only mean one thing, senior night. And Whiteland has 30 seniors right now, over 30 seniors right now, as they host the Lawrence North Wildcats in their home opener this season. I'm Jaden Collins, along my side Dylan Hale and Michael Park, and we'll take you through tonight's action. And tonight, we have a good one in store for us. Both teams 1-0, coming off impressive wins. Lawrence North hosted Avon last week, came away with a victory, kind of halted off an Avon comeback, and then Whiteland just taking over in the second half of that Columbus East game.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And as we talk about the hype leading into this game, last year we were supposed to face Lawrence North here, or during the season, rather, and unfortunately Lawrence North was not able to play that game as they were down at their team pretty much due to the COVID regulations. Now, this year we actually get that fight, and it's going to be a good one as we have a ton of different talents on both sides of the field.
Yeah, and that's one thing to note. You're playing a 6A team as a 5A team, but that's not something to be afraid of. You can go in and beat any team. I mean, you saw Avon almost come back and beat Lawrence North, and you saw Whiteland take over in the second half. You just have to get started early and push throughout the game.
And Whiteland will definitely get started early with the 1-2 punch on offense of Peyton Emberton and Jonathan Crowley, who just took over against Columbus East. Jonathan Crowley, 8 rushes, 131 yards, 2 touchdowns, and then tacking on 88 more yards on kick returns. And it was definitely a breakout game for him.
Well, Jonathan Crowley last year dealt with injuries, and so that was pretty big to come into the season opener and have that big of a game. And he's probably going to have that sort of role this season. He started off really well last year, and unfortunately when he went down with that injury, it ended his season. So, as I mentioned, to come in 8 rushes, 131 yards, like you said, that is huge. So to have him tonight alongside with Peyton Emberton, who had such a monster breakout season last year, that's going to be a big threat for the Lawrence North defense.
Yeah, and when you have 2 options at running back, you can attack the pass rushers, you can attack the coverage. But one thing Kevin Denham has to note is that he has to be able to leave the pocket as, great defense Lawrence North has to be able to pass rush. They can have good run coverage, pass coverage. Kevin Denham has to leave the pocket and make those smart plays out of the pocket to get Whiteland's offense going.
Well, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, our own Dylan Hale sits down with Coach Fisher before tonight's game.
That water, you're going to want to look for weeds, sunken structures, down trees, stuff like that. And let that breeze tell you where you want to go. Windy days like this, those bait fish will come swimming closer to shore. They'll bring the big boys with them, those bass and those pike. Now, they like cooler temperatures, so you ain't likely to have much luck.
You're good at giving fishing advice. We're good at your insurance. Start with Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance and stop knocking on wood.
Hi, I'm Matt Wolford, president of the IHSAA Foundation, and we need your help. We need your help so the youth of our community can develop advanced leadership skills. We need your help giving high school administrators and coaches the instruction and insight they need to be better role models and teachers. To learn more or to make a tax-deductible contribution, go to IHSAAfoundation.org. You'll not only be contributing to the foundation of the IHSAA, you'll be contributing to the foundation of our community.
Becoming a licensed sports official is a great way to make a positive difference in the community and support the over 160,000 Indiana student athletes that participate across 22 IHSAA sports. Sports officiating allows you to stay connected to the game, become a role model for our young student athletes, earn extra money, and support the patrons and communities of our IHSAA member schools. To learn more about becoming a licensed IHSAA official, log on to ihsaa.org/officials today.
13,000 feet has a way of testing a man's soul. After all, you were never meant to take on such an endeavor. That long drop is what separates human from superhuman. And here we are, right here, right now.
You're good at motivation, we're good at your insurance. Start with Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance and stop knocking on wood.
Do you have a notepad? So can I use a notepad? Yeah.
That's why I asked if you have use your bottom of your.
Okay.
That way I can keep track of the replays you have. Because otherwise I'm not going to know the scoring plays. I'm like, oh, which one is this? Dylan Hale joined with me is Coach Fisher. And, Coach, we saw Kevin Denham attempt 12 passes in a much more balanced-looking offense. How was that more of a game plan idea against Columbus East, or is that something that has really kind of been more prominent now that Kevin Denham's been under center?
Well, I think, a playbook's got a lot of pages in it. And every year you don't use every page. It kind of depends on the talent that you have and what their skill set is. And right now it's best for us to be balanced. For us is 1/3 inside run between the tackles, 1/3 on the perimeter, and 1/3 throw. And if we can achieve that, we're awfully hard to defend because it makes us very unpredictable. So that's the goal every year. Sometimes you can do it, sometimes you can't, depending on the talent and the skill set of your people on offense. So, yeah, with this group, we think that's possible.
And 131 yards on just 8 carries. Jonathan Crowley had such a big game against Columbus East. How has that really sort of impacted his workload, especially coming into a game that has a really tough Lawrence North defense?
Well, I think, again, us being able to run the ball on the perimeter, it's getting a guy in space with a one-on-one matchup. You can throw it to him. Some people do. Some people, you can block 10 of them and hand it to him and make sure he gets his opportunity one-on-one. And John made the best of them, either making the tacklers miss, and the other guys did a phenomenal job of pinning defenders on the perimeter so that he could get his one-on-one opportunities. So hopefully that's kind of the plan. Every week, everybody defensively has to take something away from us. Our offense is based on being able to run the sweep. And if you don't stop it, we're going to keep running it. So Friday night was one of those games where, they were really loading up inside the box, and we had to take advantage other ways. And whether that was play action pass or whether that was sweep, there were a couple different ways too. That's why that balance we talked about between inside, perimeter, and the throw is important to us.
And now from the offensive side, we have a huge defensive game that has against a Lawrence North team that has 2 really good athletes, one of which Allie Richardson, who had 19 touchdowns coming off the year. Really tough running back. How do you prepare for a guy like him?
Well, first of all, we are a run-first football team, so therefore our defense defends run first. So we've always been good at running the ball and stopping the run. Number 2, you've got to keep the ball inside and in front. Their quarterback does a good job of extending plays. They've got some speed on the perimeter to try to get behind you, and like you said, they've got a good running back. So inside and in front is kind of our defensive mentality. Is if we can do that, then we can force them into some situations where maybe they turn the football over, maybe they make a mistake. We can't give up those long, big plays. Got to keep the ball inside and in front. Our defensive lines, our depth on the defensive line is going to have to show up.
And, Coach, another thing you mentioned to me last week was Brady Stanifer and Dalton Hughes on the middle linebacker and sort of safety-ish defensive back positions. Montez Jones, a quarterback who's a dual-threat athlete. We've seen him, at least on the stat sheet. We haven't seen him in person, obviously, but we see him. He has the ability to throw it in the air. He did it against Avon just last week. How has practice been to prepare for a guy of his caliber?
Well, I think, we mentioned it before, being able to our defensive line depth is going to have to show up. Those guys are going to have to get after the quarterback on a regular basis. If you can get pressure with our front and then allow our guys to drop into coverage and take away their run-pass options. And, we really want to force the ball, again, inside and in front. But as far as their quarterback's concerned, from a practice standpoint, we had to practice extending plays. Every play in practice, the whistle was a little bit longer. We allow the quarterback to scramble and throw the ball as deep as we can. They run the scramble drill really well, and we're going to, again, our defensive line depth's going to have to show up, and we're really going to have to, again, keep the football inside of us and in front of us. That's going to be critical.
Dylan Hale joined with me is Coach
Well, we thank you, Dylan, for that interview with Fisher back here at James Slater Field now as the team is due out of the tunnel at any moment. And, boy, did we still have a good one in store. We talked about the offensive side of the ball earlier before the break, and now let's talk a little bit on the defensive side for the Warriors as the team is about to come out now. Offensively, the two threats for Lawrence North, both in the backfield, is going to be Montez Jones and Ollie Richardson. Both giant running threats, but you talked to John Preston before the game, and he said he's relying on his two stallions at outside linebacker, Brady Stanifer and Dalton Hughes, who have really made an impact last week against Columbus East.
Well, not just last week, but last season as juniors, they came in, and on the varsity side, especially Hughes and Stanifer, they were all over the field, and we saw that already from game one where I believe you said Dalton Hughes, 12 tackles in game one. And so it's not just them. You have other seniors like Zeke Ramey, like Peyton Dotson. The Warriors have so many good guys on defense, and they're very deep that there is a lot of talent.
Yeah, and one thing the Warriors, Dalton Hughes and Brady Stanifer have to take note of is that Montez Jones and Ollie Richardson can run, and Montez Jones can pass. So they have to be ready for that dual threat on offense, and they have to have good run coverage and pass coverage to be able to hold this Lawrence North offense to down low.
Well, there are your 2022 Whiteland Warriors running out of the tunnel, out of the smoke machine and the giant inflatable helmet, and boy, is there so much anticipation in the air. Their season opener was last week, but their home opener just brings so much more intensity.
And like you mentioned, Toga Night. Who doesn't love Toga Night? I mean, the seniors, you get to have all the white togas, and you have such an exciting game against a 6A school that Whiteland did not get to face last year. So to have that first opportunity at Lawrence North ever, that's going to be huge for the excitement factor on both sides.
Yeah, and as you said, senior night, definitely a big night, not only for the seniors, but the whole team as they're facing Lawrence North. Big team, 6A, like you said, a really great team. It's a big game as Whiteland goes up against a team that they can see in the playoffs.
Well, actually, we won't see them in the playoffs, 5A and 6A, different division, but the coin toss is approaching. We'll see who the captains will be for Whiteland.
And, it's that early season just excitement. Obviously, we weren't able to go out and broadcast the game against Columbus East, but to actually be at home, it is electrifying. You can feel the anticipation.
Well, before the coin toss, we were going to send it to a break. Stay tuned for kickoff. You are watching Whiteland football on the Whiteland B Sports Network.
That water, you're going to want to look for weeds, sunken structures, down trees, stuff like that. And let that breeze tell you where you want to go. Windy days like this, those bait fish will come swimming closer to shore. They'll bring the big boys with them, those bass and those pike. Now, they like cooler temperatures, so you ain't likely to have much luck.
You're good at giving fishing advice. We're good at your insurance. Start with Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance and stop knocking on wood.
Hi, I'm Matt Wolford, president of the IHSAA Foundation, and we need your help. We need your help so the youth of our community can develop advanced leadership skills. We need your help giving high school administrators and coaches the instruction and insight they need to be better role models and teachers. To learn more or to make a tax-deductible contribution, go to IHSAAfoundation.org. You'll not only be contributing to the foundation of the IHSAA, you'll be contributing to the foundation of our community.
Becoming a licensed sports official is a great way to make a positive difference in the community and support the over 160,000 Indiana student athletes that participate across 22 IHSAA sports. Sports officiating allows you to stay connected to the game, become a role model for our young student athletes, earn extra money, and support the patrons and communities of our IHSAA member schools. To learn more about becoming a licensed IHSAA official, log on to ihsaa.org/officials today.
13,000 feet has a way of testing a man's soul. After all, we were never meant to take on such an endeavor. That long drop is what separates human from superhuman. And here we are, right here, right now.
You're good at motivation, we're good at your insurance. Start with Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance and stop knocking on wood.
Welcome back to James Slater Field, home of the Warriors. Looks like the captains tonight, Tayton Shackle, Dalton Hughes, Jakari Oliver, and Mason Darlington, 4 seniors for the Warriors that will represent the team in the coin toss.
You know, and as we wait to see who the captains are for the Wildcats, off first glance, I can already see Montez Jones among those. It's really going to be I'm just willing to see and exciting to see who's going to start with this ball, because we know it's going to be exciting on both sides for both teams.
And you know, going into this game, Fisher's strategy is to keep the ball out of Montez Jones's hand on the defensive and offensive side. So that means they're going to run the clock if they get the ball first.
Yeah, and that's big, because holding Montez Jones to less yards than he had in his last season and last game can definitely hold this Lawrence North offense to definitely low-scoring game. You may see this be a low-scoring or a high-scoring. Both these offenses are good, but both of the defenses are great as well. So it'll either be a really exciting high-scoring game or a really exciting defensive-minded game.
And that's one thing I noted with Coach Fisher is how they were going to stop the dynamic duo of Montez Jones and Ollie Richardson. And he said Whiteland is a run-first team. That's how they've always ran their defense. However, Montez Jones, obviously a threat in the air, so it's going to be relying especially on his defensive line to apply pressure, and then the defensive backs and linebackers to secure that defense.
So it looks like Lawrence North will kick off. Whiteland will take the ball to start off the game, as the kicker doing the duties for Lawrence North, Andrew Hargrove, the 6'1 senior. Now, he doesn't have any kickoff stats listed, but he did have 3 punts last week, 2 pinned inside the 20-yard line, so he definitely has a leg on him.
And so I can definitely assume, I think we can all assume Jonathan Crowley will probably be back deep for the kick return, and hopefully see how exciting he's going to be tonight.
Yeah, and as we said in pregame, Jonathan Crowley, 88 yards on kick returns last game.
Yeah, and getting Crowley those kick return yards at the start of the game is big. Getting him started early in the game in general is big, because he had a great game last week, and he can definitely improve on that this week, have an even better game for Whiteland and to up their scoring.
That's the type of excitement I like to hear.
Well, 12 minutes on the clock now, as the first quarter of James Slater Field's 2022 season will be kicked off. It's a signal from the ref. And we are off. And it's going to go into the end zone for a touchback. Malik Perkins had some trouble fielding that. But the Warriors will go out to the 25-yard line to start off their drive.
Yeah, not the greatest kick for the Warriors to receive, as it was really low. You usually like those high ones to catch the ball cleanly and to get a run either out to the side or in the middle, depending on where your line is.
And I believe my research told me Andrew Hargrove, also a soccer player at Lawrence North, so, you know, maybe those low liners are something he's used to on the pitch, but on the football field, you want something a little bit different.
Yeah.
It'll be Denham under center, split backs. Emberton and Armstrong in the backfield. Here's a signal from the ref. Under center, and they're going to run QB sneak on the first play, and they get about 5 or 6 yards doing so. A giant surprise from Fisher right there.
Yeah, that's not something you typically see. You know, Kevin Denham isn't exactly the biggest guy on the field, arguably one of the smaller ones, but that is where he is a shocker, because he really does have that athletic value, and to get 5 or 6 yards off the QB sneak off the bat, that's incredible.
And it's not really even Denham. It's this all-senior offensive line in front of him that's just paving the way, as Denham under center again, this time in the I form. motions Perkins. And he'll hand off to Peyton Emberton, who gets the first down and then a little more on the, I believe, a 9 or 10 yard carry right there.
Yeah, great run by Peyton Emberton to get the first down. Yes, I think I saw a broken tackle there. That means he got through the tackle, but then, 9 to 10 yards later, he did get down.
And that's one thing that this coaching staff loves about Peyton Emberton is that he runs with so much intensity. Single back set. And they motion into the I form. Denham under center. Motions Crowley. And it's going to be a dive play to Emberton again. Gets a few yards on the carry. But that'll bring up a second and about 7 or 8.
I think typically now you've had 3 basically runs up the middle, a QB sneak, and 2 dives from Emberton. I think now is about the time where you're going to see Whiteland either with the play action pass or a sweep.
Yeah, and getting the ball in the air early is going to be good for Whiteland if they can get a few yards off of it, keeping the Lawrence North defense guessing.
Well, now we have an empty set. Then the motions Hicks and hands it off to him, but he is stuffed immediately. And that was Anthony Luddington with the stop, the 6'4 sophomore from Lawrence North.
Now with 3rd down and I would say about 6 yards to go, it's is typically where we might see one of Denham's first passes of the night and first pass at home.
Yeah, we got 3rd and about 6.
Yeah.
Warriors break the huddle with 15 seconds left on the play clock. And they come out in the I form. Denham under center. No motion. Fakes the handoff, and he'll throw. Crowley couldn't make the adjustment, and it will be 4th down and 5 for the Warriors. And it looks like Dalton Hughes is coming out to punt.
And, you saw pressure from Denham off the bat, and so that's one thing we have noted, Michael, you noted, is that the Warrior offensive line is going to need to be able to protect Denham, as I believe, if I am not wrong, that was number 3, Carter McKinstry, on the pressure.
So Dalton Hughes punt. Davion Chandler back deep to return for Lawrence North, and Dalton Hughes has a leg. Didn't get too much of it that time. Davion Chandler muffed the punt, and it's going to be recovered by the long snapper, Cullen Wilson.
What a start for the home team Warriors. That is something I didn't expect him to try and field that, but he did. And when's the last time you see the long snapper get to the ball?
And like you see in football, anybody can make any play at any time.
Dive play to Emberton up the middle. He gets about 4, bringing up 2nd and 6 for the Warriors.
And you're seeing a lot of running plays from Whiteland as, game plan coming to tonight's game, and every game for Whiteland is run the ball. We need to see a pass here, though, to keep that Lawrence North defense guessing, because you can't just keep running the ball every time. Even if it works, you got to keep them guessing.
Warriors break the huddle. Single back formation again. They motioned out of it last time, and they will do so again.
Just about everyone on the field switched.
Perkins in motion. Handoff to Perkins. Perkins sheds a tackler and gets about 3 or 4 yards on the carry.
However, there is a flag on the field.
Some laundry down, looks to be a holding, and I believe this will be going back for the Warriors. I believe it was Cam Cooper, the tight end, committing the penalty. And so it'll actually be a face mask call, not a holding.
And that's a big call for Whiteland, as you saw Perkins get a pretty good run to get to 3rd and a bit shorter. And that could have been great for Whiteland to get towards the end zone and get that touchdown early in this game.
So they're going to bring it back 10 yards. Well, nope, 15 yards for a face mask, pardon me. And it'll be about 2nd and 20-some. 2nd and a mile, basically, is what I'm getting at.
But we know from the past history with the Warriors, a mile can just be a foot in a matter of seconds if someone like Jonathan Crowley can break free.
You saw Crowley's longest run was 64 yards. If he can even get that, that'd be a touchdown right here, and that'd be big for this Whiteland offense.
And another empty set. Nyrus Moore-Smith in the game now at sweeper. And Slate Valentine in for Peyton Emberton at tailback. They motion Valentine in motion. And he'll get about 2 or 3 on the carry. And Valentine is a player that these coaches are very excited about. He's the younger brother of Chase and Canyon Valentine. Chase Valentine, if you remember 2 years ago, led Whiteland along with guard Ethan Myers to a sectional title over New Pal.
And then you have brother Canyon, who also had a pretty big year last year.
Yeah, and I think this Whiteland offense is looking for big stuff. The younger brother, those 2 great players. We hope to see him in future years and see what he can do.
Emberton back in the game, single back formation. Denham will roll out under pressure. And it looks like it will be a dropped interception. Looked like it was Agillan Reese who almost came down with that one.
And like I said earlier, Denham's got to be able to make those plays out of the pocket. He definitely got rushed pretty well, and he made not the greatest pass to the wide receiver, and it got tipped for an incompletion.
So technically it's a 3 and out for the Warriors as they will punt. And Dalton Hughes fumbled the snap. He's going to take off with it. Dalton Hughes running toward the out of bounds, and he is tripped up by Agillan Reese once again.
Yeah, he didn't really gain any coverage on the play, but he did manage to recover it and get it to where so that the Wildcats do not force a turnover. So turnover on downs by technicalities, as we now see what the Wildcat offense can do.
So now comes out Montez Jones in the Wildcat offense. They run an RPO style offense, so with almost every run play, you're going to see a bubble action. The doubles, they hand it off to Ollie Richardson, and he is stuffed for a loss. Brady Standifer and Zeke Ramey on the effort.
Yeah, they just crowded to Richardson. You saw Richardson was already running hard, but Dalton Hughes able to really put the power on and managed to go nowhere.
On this Warriors defense, so much talent at the linebacker position. You have Standifer and Hughes, who we talked about pregame, but also Jakari Oliver and Zeke Ramey inside, who bring so much effort to the team. Drop back to pass, sails over one receiver's head, but it's hauled in by number 14. I believe that will be
Cameron
Hagler, who hauls that in.
Yeah, and Whiteland didn't see many pass attempts from Columbus East in their last game. First pass attempt by Jones was a completion over the intended receiver, and Whiteland just couldn't get there in time.
So Lawrence North quick to the line. Jones takes the snap again, bubbles out, and Perkins makes a stop right there. That was on the short catch. Israel Jackson, also refers to Izzy Jackson, the junior wide receiver.
Yeah, Jackson tried to put a move on Perkins, but Perkins wasn't having it, managed to limit the completion to about a 3-yard gain.
Jones in shotgun again. 3-step drop, scans the field, checks down to Richardson. And Stanford misses the tackle, but he is forced out of bounds by an effort from Moore Smith and Milligan.
Yeah, and that's something Whiteland has to be wary of. Are the fake run pass attempts. They have to know where the ball is to get to it early so they don't get as many, so Lawrence North doesn't get as many yards on the play.
Trips to the bottom of the screen for Montez Jones. Takes a snap. There'll be a screen to Hagler.
Covers half the distance on that play.
So Lawrence North obviously going in a no-huddle offense. Back into the doubles formation. Jones takes the snap. Dive play to Richardson. Sheds a tackler before being brought down. However, there is a flag on the play. That was Caden Davidson with the tackle.
Yeah, and Whiteland's defensive line has to do better to contain Richardson. Even if they're not rushing a lot, Richardson can be a threat on the run game, and they have to get there early because, as you saw there, they didn't get there, and he got first down, but there is a flag on the play.
Yeah, it looks like the refs are sorting out that penalty currently, as Lawrence North is eager to get another play in.
I believe they think that it might be on Whiteland. But we will await the call.
Yeah, and Lawrence North starting off with a sense of urgency on their offense. You saw that against Avon, scoring 25 in the first half, I believe. And, you know, Avon almost came back, but the Lawrence North offense pulled through.
So they will move the ball closer to the goal line, indicating a Whiteland foul.
Looked to be holding from what I saw.
And Whiteland was pretty clean with penalties last week. Only 2 penalties in the whole entire game against Columbus East.
But now with 2 here in a matter of both teams' first drives.
Now hold on. They are moving the ball back now, so I believe it was offsetting penalties, a 5-yarder from Whiteland and a 10-yarder from Lawrence North, and that's what caused the confusion from the refs.
Yeah, and that gives Whiteland another chance, as Lawrence North was close to the end zone. Could have had a better chance for a touchdown that they don't have now.
Double set for Jones. 3-step drop, and he's scrambling. This is the danger from Montez Jones.
But another flag, and I think this one's going to go on a hold on, if I'm not wrong, yeah, it was against, I couldn't see the second number. It was number 50. I believe it was the right tackle.
Yeah, so that would probably be number 58 or...
Yeah, it was
or number
58.
52. 58?
Yes, it was 58.
So that is Sanique Dixon, the senior guard. One of the senior leaders on this Lawrence North offensive line. On a team that lacks very, very few seniors. I mean, only 9 seniors in their 2 deep. Jones takes the snap once again. And he escapes the pocket. Still going. The 15, and he is brought down by Nyrus Moore-Smith.
And yet there's another flag. I do think this one's going to be, I could be wrong, but it looked like the second Whiteland defensive player came in late, so it may be an unnecessary roughness.
Now, we also saw Dalton Hughes pleading for a block in the back, and I believe that's what they just called. So this one is also coming back on Lawrence North.
So 3 straight now on the game, and it's going to be first and longer than a mile.
Yeah, that was first and 20 right there, I believe, and this is going to go back even further.
Yeah, and that's not something Whiteland sees very often, is a bunch of penalties at the start of the game. But hey, maybe it'll be a tone shifter for the rest of the game.
Yeah, and Lawrence North, you know, they've broken off some big plays, but they just need to keep it clean inside the pocket, and that's something they've struggled to do thus far.
Yeah, and that's something Montez Jones can do. As you can see, a lot of pass options going on right now, but last 2 plays, Montez Jones scrambled and get a couple yards, but there are flags on the play, so Whiteland has to keep note of that.
Whiteland in the dime package right now, 6 DBs on the field. Jones drops back again. He fires. It's going to be deep, and it's going to be picked off by Malik Perkins. Malik Perkins, only listed at 5'7", but climbs the ladder to take over for the Whiteland Warriors.
Yep. First interception of the season for Whiteland, and it comes from Malik Perkins off of Montez Jones. And it's so big for this Whiteland defense to have that man-to-man coverage. I just saw only 2 rushing plays from Lawrence North there, and Whiteland had all rush plays on their offense. So that's something Whiteland has to note, is man-to-man coverage.
Perkins went up and just stole it from Mario Lomax, who was the one who was attempting to grab that, and it almost looked like he had the ball first, but Perkins came down, ripped it away, and that is a huge, huge play to end what was looking to be a strong Wildcat drive prior to the penalties.
Yeah, and Lomax listed at 6 foot, probably the tallest threat for the Wildcats against Perkins, probably the shortest corner for the Warriors. That's what you consider a mismatch as Kevin Denham tries to wedge his way out of a goal line situation, and he keeps on churning his legs down there as they'll get about 4 yards.
Yeah, like you said, a senior offensive line for the Warriors trying to protect Denham, and in the passing game, it's been a little shaky to start, but that's already 2 QB sneaks from Denham, and he's already got about 10 yards on that.
Warriors break the huddle. Split back formation. And perhaps a QB sneak again, it is. Only about 2 or 3 yards there.
And every Whiteland down so far has been a rushing play, as you see from Coach Fisher early in the season, last season. Every season he's coached, rushing has been the main key for Whiteland. I would expect a pass, though, coming out for this 3rd down.
3rd and a long 3 for the Warriors.
4 minutes left in the quarter.
No doubt. This is the type of energy and excitement that we expected coming into tonight. 2 teams playing very aggressively, and it's already exciting to see.
Warriors break the huddle. Only 6 seconds left on the play clock. Something to watch out for as they are in the empty set. They signal Hicks in motion, and they hand off to him. Fights for the 1st down, but will not. And it's going to be close. It's going to be close measurement. And it looks like they'll signal a new set of downs for the Warriors.
Yeah, definitely. Hicks coming and on the end around. Great. Be able to churn his way through. And now with more breathing room, let's see how Coach Fisher decides to extend the playbook.
Yeah, still no passing plays for the Warriors so far. And Denham had 12 attempts last week. As they motion, you see the entire Lawrence North defensive line following suit. And it looks like we're going to have a false start on the Warriors. That was Tayton Shakel with the mental lapse.
Yeah, I guess the way I see it is it's probably a little difficult once both teams shift entirely. I can kind of slow down the game for the guys. And so a little bit, like you said, a mental error, but now the Warriors are trying to capitalize.
So the Warriors now back inside the 10 after that false start penalty. Crowley in at sweeper. Tight end flexed out, so we have doubles to the bottom of the screen. And it's a fullback toss to Devin Armstrong. He got a few carries against Columbus East, but nothing really spectacular.
Well, I like how you say how he's that fullback position, because when you look at Devin Armstrong's build, he really is built like that fullback position. He's big. He's bigger than your average running back, but he's got a lot of power and he's still very quick. So to see him gain a few yards on that, especially like you said, he's trying to come into a better game than he did against Columbus East. So that's a good thing to see.
2nd and long for the Warriors. Typically a passing down for any other team, but you never know if Fisher's going to run. Perkins in motion. It's going to be Emberton up the gut, fighting for extra yards. Looks like he'll bring that to the original down and distance. And it'll be 3rd and 10 for the Warriors.
Yeah, and with minute 45 left in the quarter, no passing plays by Whiteland. Maybe right here with 3rd and about 10, we'll see one to see if they can get the 1st down.
Well, what we've seen from the previous drives of Denham's attempts on the pass is they've got to protect him on the rollout, especially through those edges.
Yeah, especially with the speed of this Lawrence North defense. On those rollouts, they can catch up to him in any moment. Crowley in motion. Handoff to Crowley. Sheds a tackler. Sheds another. And tries to fight for extra yards, but ends up getting maybe 1 or 2. And it'll bring up 4th down, and Dalton Hughes will be out for the 3rd time already this game.
Well, that was a good attempt, as it was basically Crowley versus 3 Wildcat guys, and Crowley able to outmaneuver 2 of them and almost truck the 3rd guy but unfortunately was only led to a yard or two of a gain.
So back to return again for Lawrence North. It's going to be Davion Chandler. Obviously muffed the first punt, and this one goes way out of bounds. I was getting a little nervous up here in the press box that might come toward us.
Souvenir right there.
Well, you almost have to think that he was thinking about the last attempt where it was muffed, but no doubt we've seen how Hughes can recover from the punt, and now it's up to the Warrior defense to stop them.
So Lawrence North starting out this drive way into plus territory after that punt goes out of bounds. And, I mean, the one red zone stop off a Malik Perkins interception, but a lot of threats from this Lawrence North offense that were displayed in that last drive. Trips to the top of the screen. Jones takes a snap. He fires deep. And it's going to be broken up by Caden Milligan. And broken up by Caden squared right there. Davidson and Milligan both converging on that wide receiver to make sure he didn't come down with it.
Yeah, you saw Jones make a great pass to the wide receiver. You know, the cornerbacks got there quick, and they got him down before they could catch before he had possession of the ball. And no touchdown for Lawrence North there.
Trips to the right again. Jones takes a snap. And a quick hitch to Chandler, who was brought down quickly by Zeke Ramey, but still gets a first down on the catch.
Yeah, it looked like it looked like the Warriors recognized the play, but they weren't able to get to Chandler in time, and so that does lead to a 11 or 12-yard gain for the first.
And Chandler, I believe, just ran off holding his calf, maybe a cramp or something, but that brings in wide receiver Robert Oldham, the 5'9" junior. Jones, three-step drop once again, and fires to a wide-open Oldham in the end zone, and that'll be a touchdown for the Wildcats.
Yeah, that's now two passes out of the last three plays where a Wildcat receiver has been left open, and so that's something to know heading into previous quarters as we do end the first quarter.
Yeah, that play ends the first quarter, and now it'll be Matt Dempsey, junior kicker, out to try and cap on an extra point. Lawrence North had trouble with the operation last week, but this week it looks smooth as it is now 7-0 Wildcats heading into the start of the second quarter. We will take a quick break. You're watching Whiteland football on the Whiteland Beat Sports Network.
To Cooking with OJ. I'm your host, OJ, and we're making, you guessed it, OJ. First step, kiss it. Second step, cut it. Third step, squeeze it. Fourth step, sugar. Fifth step, stir it. Now, enjoy. Good.
This broadcast of Whiteland football is brought to you by Johnson County Axe Throwing. Located at 6001 North US 31 in Whiteland, Johnson County Axe Throwing is safe and fun for the whole family. With seasonal leagues, corporate events, and 50% off for military and their families, there's always something to love at Johnson County Axe Throwing, proud sponsor of the Whiteland Beat Sports Network. WBSN would also like to thank Title Bailey & Wood Mortgage Lender for being a title supporter of Whiteland Athletics. Family owned and committed to the community, Bailey & Wood Mortgage Lender. So the Warriors will return the kickoff now to start this second quarter.
You know, Jaden, overall, coming into the second quarter, I would say that was an impressive an impressive first quarter defensively for the Warriors. You know, you saw them, the Wildcats, on their very first drive, get it into the red zone, and with the help of penalties, of course, they were able to prevent it. And, of course, Malik Perkins on the incredible interception over a guy who's significantly taller. So that was a good play for Perkins, and now let's see how they can do on the offensive end.
Hargrove kicks off this one, a little more arc to it, but Crowley, dangerous returner, and barrels over 2 people. He'll be down around the 22-yard line where the Warriors will start their drive.
Yeah, crazy quarter by the Warriors in the first quarter with the muffed punt returned by the long snapper Wilson and the interception by Perkins in the red zone. Whiteland has to be good on offense right here. They have to start early. They have to get momentum and, just to help them going forward in this game.
So the Warriors run out of the huddle onto the field around the 22-23-yard line. Denham under center as always. Signals Perkins in motion. And it'll be a pass. Fires to Cooper. And Cooper will be all the way down to the 37-yard line, 38-yard line. And it'll be a gain of about 15.
Yeah, that was one of that's been Whiteland's biggest play thus far. And to start off the quarter, that's sort of a momentum setter. And as a Whiteland bias, you kind of hope to see that continuing out.
And it took all the way to the second quarter, as always, but first pass play for Whiteland also. Denham under center. Signals Crowley in motion. Crowley takes a sweep. Led by Armstrong. And he gets a gain of about 3 or 4 on the carry.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to go back on from the last play was how you said that it took until the second quarter for the Warriors. Now, we saw what happened last week against Columbus East as it took until the second half to really get things going. So hopefully that starting energy is sooner for this game.
Warriors break the huddle again. Denham signals Moore Smith in motion in a sweeper. Signals in motion again. And it looks like we have a false start. That was 65, Will Hagan, the culprit, and he knows it.
Yeah, penalties have definitely been big in this game, as you see a lot by Lawrence North last quarter, and you saw the most by Whiteland in a quarter, and even in a game already. They have to cut down on those penalties as it just keeps moving them back.
So the Warriors, now with just over 10:30 left in the half, break the huddle once more. Single back formation, they motion out of it once again. Moore Smith in motion. And sweep to Nyrus Moore Smith. Moore Smith makes a man miss. Keeps tumbling down to the 49-yard line. A first down for the Whiteland Warriors.
Moore Smith had so much hype coming into this season after a tremendous rookie season as a freshman. And so now as a sophomore, we're looking for that extended play. However, there does appear that there was and they've waved off the flag. Sorry. Just making sure.
I was going to make the same point that there was a flag on the field, but apparently we were both wrong about that one. Now, one concern for Whiteland's offense, 15 seconds on the play clock, and they are just now breaking the huddle. They got into this situation a couple times down at Columbus East where they had a couple of delay of game penalties. Usually that's just a week one, mental lapse, but sweep to Crowley now. To the outside, sheds a few tacklers, and gets a gain of about 5. 2nd and 5 for the Warriors, but as I continue, delay of games, something when you have a quarterback, going all the way to the coach and then all the way back to the huddle, something that can be a common occurrence.
Yeah, and that's one thing, too, that the Warriors will want to hope to clean up, but no delay of games yet, so that's good.
Denham under center, Warriors in the I form. Perkins in motion. Dive to Emberton, and Emberton getting a few yards there, gets the first down. However, there is a flag on the play.
A great rush by Emberton there to get the first down. Even though there's a flag, it's always great to see dudes get the first down and more. It's just great momentum for this offense.
And indication says it's a sideline warning for Whiteland, so no movement of the ball. Just if it happens again, then there will be a 5-yard penalty. And that's something that, coaches stress in high school is that you can't be past a certain, marking on the field, or, maybe they'll lay down some cones or something, and you can't go past that. Obviously, some players violating that early in this game.
Yeah, but we all know what that is. That's just the excitement doing this well against a 6A school. So,
Moore Smith in motion. Sweep. Gets the outside, and Moore Smith tiptoeing down the sideline. They'll say he stepped out, and he is frustrated with that because he thought he had a touchdown. And just the explosiveness from Nyrus Moore Smith being displayed right there at the sweeper position.
Yeah, regardless of the fact that he did end up stepping out, he does get a big chunk gain, and with the ability and now to get the first down as the Warriors near the red zone. They might actually be in. No, they are close to the red zone. But now that provides a great opportunity for the Warriors to continue this incredible drive for them.
And I think now we know what circus act is Nyrus Moore Smith's favorite. It's the tightrope.
That's a good one, Jaden. It took me a minute, but.
Dive to Emberton. Breaks a tackle. Still going. Down inside the 10. He'll be down around the 6-yard line for a 1st and goal for the Warriors.
Yeah, just a great offensive run by the Warriors right here. All rushing. Well, one pass play, but the rushing has been phenomenal. You see Moore Smith almost get the touchdown going out of bounds. Now Emberton to get them to 1st and goal. It's big for this Warriors offense.
Emberton obviously had a little bit of a rough game last week, but now he seemed to pick it up today.
And threatening at receiver 6'4", Brady Stanford. They do not throw it to him. Instead is Crowley, and he will be pulled down to the 1-yard line. 2nd and goal for the Warriors. And obviously, as I mentioned, Brady Stanford in there kind of as a red zone threat right there. You love to have a 6'4" wide receiver on your football team.
Yeah, and when you're 1st and goal, a 6'4" receiver, you have Jonathan Crowley too. It can keep Lawrence North guessing. You can pass the ball, you can run. Both are dangerous for this Lawrence North defense.
Well, Lawrence North calls a timeout with 8:02 left in the 2nd quarter. A good time to remind you that this broadcast of Whiteland football is brought to you by Johnson County Axe Throwing, located at 6001 North US 31 in Whiteland. Johnson County Axe Throwing is safe and fun for the whole family with seasonal leagues, corporate events, and 50% off for military and their families. There's always something to love at Johnson County Axe Throwing, proud sponsor of the Whiteland Bee Sport Network.
Yeah, Jaden, as we're at basically the 1-yard line, I'd say 1.5 yards out, you can almost assume, based off of plays prior to this game, I'm going to call it here. I'm going to say it's a Kevin Denham QB sneak here at the goal line.
Yeah, it's either going to be that or, a power inside to Peyton Emberton. But, yeah, those are your two threats in this red zone situation.
When you're on the 1-yard line, you can have a QB sneak or a rush, but don't ever don't ever leave out the pass play to your tight end or, heck, to even a second running back. There's so many options Whiteland can go for here, and Lawrence North does not know what they could, and they have to be ready.
So both teams, I believe this was a full minute timeout, but the ref about to signal them out of the huddle.
Now, just remember that last week, the Wildcats did not allow Avon to score in the first half, and once Avon did score, boy, did Avon run it up. So now that could play a part into the Wildcat drive, and if you're a Warrior, that's what you're playing for.
Now, Peyton Emberton had a touchdown last week in this same situation. And it's going to be a wedge to Denham. And he's in for the touchdown.
And like you said, QB sneak was one of the plays going to, 1-yard line. And you see Denham executed perfectly.
So now the Warriors tie it up after ending the second half, or the end of the first quarter, with a touchdown, and they respond with their own.
So it's going to be David Mathis on the point after attempt. Snap is good, and the kick is up. Perfecto for David Mathis.
Yeah, David Mathis, also a soccer player, as he said, one of the Lawrence North kickers was too. You know, killer on the soccer field and on the football field. Nice to see what comes after this season.
Well, it's 7-all with less than 8 to go in the half. We will take a quick break. You are watching Whiteland football on the Whiteland Beat Sports Network. Welcome back to James Slater Field, home of the Warriors, who just tied it up 7-all with less than 8 minutes to go here in the second quarter. David Mathis to kick off. And it's a little squib kick. Chandler returning for Lawrence North. And Chandler has room to run. And he'll be wrapped up around the 46-yard line by Brady Stanifer and Nyrus Moore-Smith. And that's a miscue for Whiteland on the kickoff. Definitely something they do not want to happen is the ball in Davion Chandler's hands.
About a 30-yard return for Chandler. So, as you said, a miscue for Whiteland. And so now with good field position for the Wildcats, once again, the White Warriors are going to need to come up clutch here.
So Jones back in the shotgun. Trips to the top of the screen. And dive play to Richardson. Richardson will get about 3 or 4 on the carry.
Yeah, and like we saw in the first quarter, mostly passing plays, but when they did give it off to Richardson, he made great runs, almost to get a touchdown on one of them. And that's, Whiteland has to be good on both sides of the defense.
Trips to the top of the screen once again. Jones fakes the handoff, throws that hitch to Chandler again. And Chandler breaks 2 tackles. He'll be brought down by Darlington. Great hustle by the defensive tackle. But it'll be a first down for the Lawrence North Wildcats.
After Chandler dropped it in the end zone on the previous drive for the Wildcats, he's really coming to his own, as I believe it's now 3 catches in a row for him in the past drive alone.
Richardson down the middle once again. Breaks the first tackle, but he's tripped up by Perkins as he tried to bounce it outside. However, still a gain of 5, and it'll be second and medium for the Wildcats.
I don't think Richardson saw Moore-Smith, who was practically already on the ground.
Well, that was Perkins, I believe.
Perkins, as he was already on the ground, and
saw the Warriors move into the dime package earlier. Now they're back in their base. Jones takes a snap. And he's going to loft it deep. That's Lomax. And it's going to be picked off by Andrian Kaligbo. The second pick in almost an identical spot on the field. Andrian Kaligbo comes down with it.
Yeah, 2 interceptions in the first half, none against Columbus East. It's big for the Whiteland defense going forward in this game, and not only this game, but the season. And as you saw in the first quarter, as Lawrence North got deeper in Whiteland's territory, the Whiteland's defense seemed to get tighter on those Lawrence North receivers.
And that's one thing I talked with Fisher about, was that outside aerial coverage of Montez Jones. And thus far, through 2 quarters, 2 interceptions, it's looking good.
And one thing to note, both of those interceptions intended for Mario Lomax, their tallest receiver at 6 feet tall. Obviously, they lack size. You know, if we threw it up to Stanford or something, it's very rare that gets picked, you know, because Denham puts it in a spot where only his receiver can get it. Lawrence North doesn't really have that luxury when they're throwing the football around.
Yeah, you could just conclude that. You know, you say height is big, but the read by the defensive backs to, you know, not only get to that ball, but get in the right spot at the right time to get the interception.
Well, the Warriors have to go 98 yards to take the lead, and that's a good start. 3-yard rush from Jonathan Crowley.
I couldn't tell from here, but the Wildcats definitely expecting Denham to jump, or not jump, but sneak it up the middle like he did on the previous time they were at the 1-yard line. And so that helped to gain a couple extra yards.
So interesting stat, no fly zone in full effect for Whiteland, as those are the first 2 picks of the season for Montez Jones. As the Warriors now in a single back formation. Perkins in the backfield. And they toss boundary to Perkins. He gets a few yards. Still won't be good enough for a first down. It'll be 3rd and very short.
Yeah, and good run by Perkins there to get it.
And it will be a first down. Pardon me.
Well, after that, it was even better Perkins run to get the first down. You know, you saw him break a tackle, and he got farther down the field. Big first down for Whiteland. Deep, you know, just far downfield.
Warriors back in the I form. Crowley in motion. Emberton up the middle, and he's got room to run. Emberton couldn't quite break away, but still an impressive run from Emberton, barreling down to the 30-yard line.
Whiteland's got all the momentum right now, as it just seems big play after big play for Whiteland. And as Emberton already having himself a nice game, as he's now had a couple of good big runs. And so now, as the Warriors have already made it from the 1-yard line up to the 32, see what they got now.
And one thing to point out about almost every Emberton run is the convoy of linemen ahead of him. And just like that, once again, as he's brought down by Ford and his helmet comes off.
Yeah, and like you said earlier, the dual threat between Emberton and Crowley is big for the Warriors. As you saw, Crowley have an amazing game against Columbus East. 64 was his longest run. But now you're seeing Emberton here get most of the running plays for Whiteland, and he's doing an amazing job getting through those tackles and getting as many yards as he can.
Now, Emberton's helmet did come off on that play, so it's Slate Valentine in at tailback. 2nd and short for the Warriors. Moore Smith in motion. Valentine up the middle. He has room. Almost sheds a tackler. Slate Valentine with the Warriors' first down. 15 yards on the play.
You know, attacking through passing, Whiteland doesn't do much, and it can be good either for your team or bad. But as you're seeing here, Whiteland is running the ball with authority, getting as many yards as they can, and getting down the field. It's big running for Whiteland this quarter.
Denham under center. Warriors in the I form. Crowley in motion. And it looks like someone flinched. And that's Will Hagan for the 2nd time today. So the Warriors, again, a little jittery on senior night. Now back them up 5, 1st and 15 from the Warriors' 50-yard line.
Well, you can see Stanford coming in, so might be having something to do with him on this, possibly a tight end post. We saw that a lot last year.
So an empty set. Denham still under center, however. Hicks in motion. Hicks on the sweep. Sheds a tackler. Gets a gain of about 5 or 6 before being brought down around the 44-yard line.
Yeah, not a terrible carry by Hicks there to break the tackle and get down farther for Whiteland to possibly get first down and more. And, have momentum going into the end of the quarter in the second half.
Well, go ahead.
And one thing that shocked a lot of viewers last week at Columbus East, Hicks being moved to wide receiver after having over 60 carries last year as a sweeper. Denham under center once again. Perkins in motion. Dive to Emberton. Emberton has room. Barrels over the safety. And it will be another Warriors first down.
Well, I mean, that run right there was only going to further my proof of what I was going to say on that last play. Every run, even though that they had that penalty, every run right now is being a 7, 8, 9-yard gain. And it's just explosive, and it's wearing and tearing down at that interior for the Wildcats.
Warriors in the I form. Moore Smith and a sweeper. Moore Smith in motion. And it's a pitch to Jakari Oliver. His first lick today at fullback, and it goes for a negative gain. Well, I guess you really can't have a negative gain, but a loss of about 2 or 3 yards.
You usually see Oliver at defensive linebacker, but here getting the ball with the pitch play, and he can run. He can break those tackles, and he can run as much as he can.
And one of his primary positions last year was fullback, so it's no surprise to see him getting a couple reps in. Crowley in motion. Dive play to Emberton. This one's stuffed for a gain of about 1 or 2. And it'll be 3rd and long for the Warriors. One thing to know, about 2.5 minutes left in this second quarter.
And towards the end of the quarter, Whiteland's getting further downfield, 3rd and about 8 right now. Even if they don't get the first down right here, you can still have David Mathis come in for the field goal.
Perkins in motion. And Denham rolls out, has a stop, and that is underthrown as he takes a hard lick from sophomore defensive lineman. That was Anthony Luddington once again making a play.
Well, that was a good job by Denham. Yes, it was an incompletion, but to be able to get that away and prevent a sack into what would have been surely out of Mathis's field goal range.
And Kevin Denham, one of the smaller quarterbacks, probably the smallest quarterback, weighing in under 140. So hits like that are going to put a massive impact on his body.
Well, look at this as they're going to go for it. Or it might be to try to draw him off sides.
Moore Smith in the backfield, and it's a pass. He has Hicks on the hitch. Hicks tries to shed the tackler, and what a surprise from Darren Fisher passing on 4th and long, something you rarely see from the Whiteland offense.
Yeah, crazy called play by Coach Fisher. You rarely ever see that, not only in high school football, but even in higher levels. Just crazy play calling, but great execution.
Gunnar Hicks has already had himself a nice start to the season and game as well.
The Warriors in a tackle over. I mean, they have 3 tackles on the field, and they hand off to Grandinetti, who we're seeing for the first time this evening. He gets 1 to 2 yards on the carry.
You know, one thing I've talked to Coach Fisher about is just how deep the lineup is of guys who can just touch the ball and run with it. I mean, already we've seen, obviously, the starters in Crowley. You've seen Oliver. You've seen Emberton. And now you see the deeper guys such as Devin Armstrong, Grandinetti.
Crowley in motion. Dive to Emberton, and he has a wide open lane to the end zone for the Warriors touchdown. They take the lead with 1:13 left in the second quarter.
Wow. Whiteland on the offensive. They have had great execution in this run. See Payne Emberton getting, I think, almost 60 yards on that and ending it with a touchdown.
And that was Payne Emberton with his second touchdown of the season. Mathis in to attempt the extra point. And the hold was a little late, so a low liner. But it is good regardless, and the Warriors take a 14-7 lead with 1:13 left to go in the second quarter. We will take a break. You're watching Whiteland football on the Whiteland Beat Sports Network.
The Cooking with OJ. I'm your host, OJ, and we're making, you guessed it, OJ. First step, kiss it. Second step, cut it. Third step, squeeze it. Fourth step, sugar. Fifth step, stir it. Now, enjoy. Good.
Welcome back to James Slater Field, home of the Warriors, who just took a 14-7 lead over the Lawrence North Wildcats of the Mid-Conference, and the Mid-Conference always dominating Indiana high school football, it seems. You know, you always have at least one or two Mid-Conference teams in the, state championship, and the Warriors taking one to town pretty easily.
Yeah, I mean, it's been such an impressive past two drives for this Whiteland offense, and especially on the defensive end, to have already come away now 3 turnovers, a muffed punt recovery, and 2 interceptions already. So that is something very good to see for the Whiteland Warriors.
David Mathis kicks off. Squibb once again, but it looks like Chandler's going to field this one. And he stopped early, ran into one of his own blockers, and he's gained tackled around the 29-yard line.
Yeah, and that looked like it could have been a big kick return for Lawrence North, but miscommunication as the returner hit his own teammate, and it stopped him, allowing Whiteland to get the tackle.
So Whiteland back in the dime package, some new additions to the defensive backfield. That would be Grandinetti and Crowley. I mentioned this earlier, them moving into a different package, something they've installed just this week, and it's going to be interesting to see Crowley as a slot corner. Jones fires. That's an out route to Jackson. And Lawrence North fans in front of us petitioning for some unnecessary roughness right there as Crowley shoved him out of bounds.
Yeah, Crowley got there late. I didn't see any unnecessary roughness, though, and, just got to get there sooner.
Trips to the bottom of the screen. Jones takes a snap. Another hitch to Chandler. That's the third time he's caught that. He fights for extra yards and gets to the Lawrence North first down. 54.6 left to go on the clock as that temporarily stops it.
Well, he fought for extra yards, but he really got nothing as Stanifer had him wrapped up like a bow.
Now doubles. Jones takes the snap. He's going to fire deep to Chandler, and it's overthrown. And that was something that Whiteland, kind of game planned for, as an overthrown ball from Montez Jones. But 2 underthrows actually led to interceptions earlier in the game.
Yeah, and Jones does pass a lot, and he's passed all this drive. 39 seconds to go, in the half. So we may see a long pass attempt here by Jones.
Jones drops back, about 5-step drop this time. Down low and almost picked off again by Perkins. It fell through the arms of DeMario Moore, who had an amazing game against Avon, catching 106 receiving yards right there off 6 passes, but couldn't connect right there. And that will bring up third and 10 for the Lawrence North Wildcats.
Yeah, definitely. It was good coverage by, once again, Perkins and the safety. So now to prevent that first down, I would definitely, if I were the Warriors, look at Chandler.
Jones takes a snap in the gun. Fires. Out route to Jackson, who makes an amazing catch and barely gets the first down to stop the clock. 25.6 left to go in the second half as they hurry to the line.
You usually see longer passes here late in the half, but they got a quick short pass there for the first down.
Clock running. Jones scrambling, and he's brought down, forcing Lawrence North to burn a timeout as he was brought down short of the first down marker.
Well, Lawrence North now probably looking just to try and get into field goal range as the run there, because I would think that if they were planning on passing it longer, you probably would have seen a spike.
Something to mention, their longest field goal of the season, 17 yards only. It was in a goal line scenario, where they got stuffed. Now they have 11.5 seconds. I think even if they get into, Whiteland's supposed field goal range, they're still going to be in a Hail Mary situation.
Yeah, but with one timeout left in the half for Lawrence North, you can see a long pass and a quick timeout here to possibly get another touchdown and to tie it up with the Warriors with 11 seconds. That's not the most time, but it's still enough.
Regardless, I would probably expect to see several defensive backs, I would say probably 5 deep, trying just so, like you said, to prevent that long pass.
Yeah, and looks like their dime package is back out on the field, so that's 6 defensive backs, 4 down linemen, and only 1 linebacker, who's Brady Standifer, who has experience at defensive back from last season. He started, I believe, all 10 games at safety. And Lawrence North back out on the field now. And it's definitely a pass-first situation if you're the Warriors. Trips to the right. And the refs, they did put 0.8 of a second back on the clock, so there's 12.3 to go. And they're ready for play. Jones scrambling around under heavy pressure. And a great adjustment made as that will force another timeout. It was thrown in the middle of the field. Great play by DeMario Moore, who we talked about earlier, making an adjustment for that underthrown ball.
A great play by the D-line for Whiteland to get to Jones there. Unfortunately, he got the pass out before Whiteland had a chance to sack, and they got the first down.
So the ball is at the 21-yard line, and I believe they're about to send out their field goal team. So this will be the longest attempted field goal of the season and of this kicker's career, I believe.
I believe that's a 36-yard.
Yep, 36-yard field goal. 5 seconds left on the clock. This will be a good time to remind you that WBSN would like to thank Title Bailey and Wood Mortgage Lender for being a title supporter of Whiteland Athletics, family-owned and committed to the community. Bailey and Wood Mortgage Lender. As the Whiteland defense back out on the field. Lawrence North sending their kicking team out. Warriors playing it as safe as possible, still in the dime package.
You never know what you're going to get. You could get a pass, or you could just get the normal field goal attempt. I would not rule out the pass, though. You're close to the end zone with 5 seconds left in the half. You could tie it up. If you get a great pass and you can get open, then you can get down to the end zone.
And the Warriors called timeout, possibly in an attempt to ice the kicker. I'm not sure. I mean, by any means, I guess, in this late half situation, you don't want to give up, 3 points. But the kicker for Lawrence North looks pretty unfazed by it.
Yeah, it looked like he kind of just walked out there, expected it, and he just walked right back.
Well, this is a great time to remind you this broadcast of Whiteland football is brought to you by Johnson County Axe Throwing. Located at 6001 North US 31 in Whiteland, Johnson County Axe Throwing is safe and fun for the whole family. With seasonal leagues, corporate events, and 50% off for military and their families, there's always something to love at Johnson County Axe Throwing, proud sponsor of the Whiteland Beat Sports Network. So the Warriors still 2 timeouts left. I doubt they'll burn through all of them. But they've given Matt Dempsey plenty to think about on this 38-yard attempt. Snap is good. And it's going to be wide to the left. And the Warriors will go in. Well, 1.6 left on the clock, apparently. So the Warriors will take a knee before they go into the locker room of 7.
And just a great half of football by the Warriors here. Lots of rushing. That led to, the lead for them. And that's big, definitely going into the second half against this Lawrence North team.
So almost, assumably, a knee for Denham.
Denham trots out to the field. And the Warriors are in victory formation. So they'll take a knee and trot into the locker room, up 7. And the Warriors were looking forward to this test and obviously are acing it so far.
And obviously a great Lawrence North team, but Whiteland has come out firing with their runs, and they have taken the lead over Lawrence North. Going into the second half could be big.
Well, we'll take a quick break. We'll be back with a recap of the first half. You are watching Whiteland football on the Whiteland Bee Sports Network.
Water, you're going to want to look for weeds, sunken structures, down trees, stuff like that. And let that breeze tell you where you want to go. Windy days like this, those bait fish will come swimming closer to shore. They'll bring the big boys with them, those bass and those pike. Now, they like cooler temperatures, so you ain't likely to have much luck.
You're good at giving fishing advice. We're good at your insurance. Start with Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance and stop knocking on wood.
Hi, I'm Matt Wolford, president of the IHSAA Foundation, and we need your help. We need your help so the youth of our community can develop advanced leadership skills. We need your help giving high school administrators and coaches the instruction and insight they need to be better role models and teachers. To learn more or to make a tax-deductible contribution, go to IHSAAfoundation.org. You'll not only be contributing to the foundation of the IHSAA, you'll be contributing to the foundation of our community.
Becoming a licensed sports official is a great way to make a positive difference in the community and support the over 160,000 Indiana student athletes that participate across 22 IHSAA sports. Sports officiating allows you to stay connected to the game, become a role model for our young student athletes, earn extra money, and support the patrons and communities of our IHSAA member schools. To learn more about becoming a licensed IHSAA official, log on to ihsaa.org/officials today.
13,000 feet has a way of testing a man's soul. After all, you were never meant to take on such an endeavor. That long drop is what separates human from superhuman. And here we are, right here, right now.
You're good at motivation, we're good at your insurance. Start with Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance and stop knocking on wood.
Welcome back to James Slater Field, where we will recap the first half here in the halftime report. And it has been a great first half if you're a Warriors fan, honestly. They have done everything on the offensive side of the ball according to plan. They have run the clock out pretty heavily. And on defense, they do have some room to improve, but they have done very well also.
Well, that first quarter, obviously, we saw just how much of a battle both teams had compared to each other. It was back and forth. We had some very fun plays that happened. I mean, obviously, we had the muffed punt that was recovered by long snapper. You don't really see that in games very often, but we saw that. And then, obviously, Malik Perkins on the interception. It was a high contested affair between both in the first quarter. And it was, in my opinion, one of the better defensive performances I've seen from the Warriors in a while.
Yeah, and I talked to Don Hughes earlier about, the defensive game plan going in this game, and he said Coach Fisher didn't really change much. He just said you got to go out there and you got to be better than your receivers and, who's running. And I think Whiteland did a perfect job of that. You didn't see Columbus East throw the ball much, so you didn't get many coverages on the pass, but you saw Whiteland adjust perfectly to when, there was a rush and when there was a pass, and you saw those 2 interceptions, the first 2 for the season. And it came at home on senior night. It's definitely a great atmosphere.
And one thing to know for the Warriors, on those runs, especially in the second half, the A-gap and B-gap have been wide open. What should Lawrence North do differently on defense to try and halt that?
Well, if I'm Lawrence North, you bunch your bigger guys together in the middle. Obviously, that we know that the Wildcats are a little bit undersized in some areas, but you do put those bigger guys if you have those bigger guys filling in the gaps, then you can have the opportunity to stop Emberton, such as how the Olympians did last week.
Well, we'll give you some quick drive summaries. Warriors obviously started out with the ball as Lawrence North deferred. They punted, and then it was muffed. Recovered by Cullen Wilson, but that only led to another Warriors 3-and-out. And then Lawrence North took over, drove it all the way into the red zone for some penalties, kind of drove them back, and they ended up throwing an interception at the goal line to Malik Perkins, who really climbed the ladder. The Warriors then resulted in a 3-and-out, punted, and Lawrence North took great opportunity of that as they threw a touchdown to Robert Oldham. The Warriors, however, traded blows right back. As you'll see right here, Kevin Denham, QB, sneaking it in after a very, very lengthy drive that the Warriors just ran so much time off of the clock. Then Lawrence North responded, drove it all the way down before another goal line interception, this time by Andrian Kaligbo. The Warriors then took it all the way 98 yards before Peyton Emberton punched it in from about 10 yards out. And Lawrence North, of course, drove back down the field in the final minute of the game, only to miss their field goal.
Yeah, just a crazy start to the game for both teams as muff punt, just crazy energy coming out of the court, out of the locker rooms for both teams, and definitely getting that missed punt. The long snapper Wilson got it. It's just big for the energy, and then you saw the interception from Perkins. That's also big because the first of the season you saw the 3-and-out punt and then the touchdown, and that gets you down sometimes. But then Whiteland just brought it back up with those touchdowns, and that is what's got them the lead.
Well, the one thing the Warriors and I would say the Wildcats need to work on the most is the penalties. We saw a ton of those here in the first half. False starts were killer for the Warriors in some sense, as we do know that they went with the second quarter and they just completely obliterated the interior.
Well, looking at some changes in game plan, first, if I'm a Warriors fan, I change nothing. They have by any means an amazing first half for their standards. I mean, coming out against a mixed school, and now you're up 14-7 at the half, that's something any team would want, But, however, for Lawrence North, if I were Lawrence North, I would kind of halt the passing a little bit. They've been very pass-happy. It's led to 2 early interceptions, and you definitely don't want to shatter Jones's confidence this early in the season.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Jones made some good reads. One of the bigger names for the Wildcats that we had there in the first half was Davion Chandler. He came up key on some big third downs for the Wildcats, and especially that touchdown where he came in and just, not Chandler, but...
Yeah, that was Oldham.
Oldham, yeah.
On Oldham's first play, I believe.
Oldham's first play came in, caught the 20-yard touchdown after some penalties, and so that was a big sort of key thing to happen for them.
Yeah, and as you said, Jones with the interceptions, it can definitely hurt your morale, but he's been killing Whiteland with the short passes, as Whiteland has not been able to read well off the play option. But one thing I want to note is on the defensive side for Lawrence North, as Whiteland has been running the ball a lot, but on the passing plays that Denham has had, he has executed well. You saw the pass to Hicks that almost was a touchdown, and to Lawrence North, you just have to adjust better to runs and passes. You can't allow Whiteland to run the ball a mile and then pass short.
And it might just be me, but it seemed like on that last Whiteland drive where they scored with Emberton, Fisher was treating the defense almost like a child's play toy. I mean, he was doing a lot of stuff just to feed it down the middle, and especially the throw to Hicks on 4th down, probably the gutsiest call by any coach this weekend alone, and it's something you might want to see more of going into that second half.
Yeah, one thing I was thinking in my head was, wow, when I'm the Warriors, there's not been one key player that has stood out. For Whiteland, everyone in some sense has stood out. I mean, you've had Emberton, obviously. Emberton has had a much bigger game already here in the first half than against Columbus East. You also have John Crowley. You have Nyrus Moore-Smith. You have, on the defensive end, you have Malik Perkins. Guys like that, everyone is contributing to the Warriors in some sense. And as you said, Gunnar Hicks on that huge 4th down. Give credit to Denham, too. Placed the ball just perfectly so that only Hicks could grab it. Everyone is highlighting themselves in some way or another.
Yeah, and that corner was absolutely off guard. You think 4th and long, there's no way they are passing it, and they're just going to try and draw us off sides. Little does he know Gunnar Hicks with a little hitch route comes back to that ball, and we end up having a scoring drive for the Warriors.
Yeah, definitely the gutsiest play by Whiteland, for the first 2 games and, for even, this game. But, one player I want to know, everybody has been doing something for Whiteland, but I want to know Malik Perkins. You haven't seen, he hasn't had as many sweep plays, but when he has got some yards. And you see him on the defensive end with that big interception in the red zone that led to, Whiteland still punting, but that's okay. It was just a big interception that, in my opinion, changed the tides of the game when Whiteland saw that they had a good defense against the receivers.
So with that recap, we probably will take a break here. Still 10 minutes before the third quarter starts, but boy, do we have a good second half in store. Both of these teams, known to finish strong, both very good powerhouse teams, and it's going to be a fight to the finish here in Whiteland, Indiana. So we'll take a break. You are watching Whiteland football on the Whiteland Beat Sports Network. Welcome back to Whiteland Community High School, James Slater Field specifically, where the Warriors out in a commanding 7-point lead to the Lawrence North Wildcats. And we have some scores from across the county and the conference. Right now, Center Grove and Carmel notched up at 10 at the half. We also have Brownsburg and Cathedral. Brownsburg 21, Cathedral 7. And that's shocking because Cathedral, one of the premier teams in the state right now, down 14 at halftime. Some other scores right now. New Pal leads 28-0 over, I believe they are playing. Actually, I'm not too sure on that one. Pardon me. I'm reading Twitter updates right now as we speak. Whiteland obviously up 14-7 on 13 on 14-7 on Lawrence North. Greenwood up 14-6 on Indian Creek. And there are just so many headlines so far pouring in. So we thank Dylan's Twitter for that.
Twitter, the most reliable source of news.
So both teams warming up now, and a highly anticipated second half on our hands right now. And the Warriors just came out pouring it on in the second quarter.
And that, as they probably are going to try to continue, and what they're going to need to continue to do to really come back and put the pedal to the metal. That's the phrase. Put the pedal to the metal. They're going to try and go full throttle and not let up on this really good Wildcat team.
And if I were Whiteland, I would not really change your offensive game plan because it has worked so well so far. And obviously, if you see something on the defensive end from Lawrence North, you obviously got to make adjustments. But if I were Whiteland, I just keep attacking their run defense and keep giving Emberton the ball. And on defense, obviously, you see the 2 interceptions. Whiteland just has to keep smart on the man-to-man coverage, and and on the play option.
And Whiteland will be kicking off to start this half. Lawrence North won the toss and deferred. So Whiteland took the ball to start. Again, a recap. They punted. Lawrence North muffed the punt, and then they recovered and ended up 3 and out again. Then Perkins had the interception. Whiteland punted. Lawrence North had the touchdown to Oldham, and Robert Oldham's first play of the game that he checked in for Davion Chandler. They drew up a corner route for him. He scored in the back of the end zone. And then Warriors responded right back, driving it down the field, having Denham score the touchdown. Then Lawrence North threw an INT to Andrian Kaligbo, the second goal line interception for the Warriors. They ended up marching down 98 yards before Emberton scored. And then Lawrence North ended the half with a missed field goal. So that's your recap. Right now, great time to remind you that this broadcast is brought to you by Johnson County Axe Throwing, located at 6001 North US 31 in Whiteland. Johnson County Axe Throwing is safe and fun for the whole family. With seasonal leagues, corporate events, and 50% off for military and their families, there's always something to love at Johnson County Axe Throwing, proud sponsor of Whiteland Beat Sports Network. WBSN would also like to thank Title Bailey and Wood Mortgage Lender for being the title supporter of Whiteland Athletics. Family owned and committed to the community, Bailey and Wood Mortgage Lender.
Yeah, one thing to note, that's what I love about high school football. It really is 2 separate halves of football. You had the first half that was in the sun, in the heat. Now the lights are coming on as it gets darker, and these are where big and exciting things happen, especially on just a 1-score game. Now we'll see if the Whiteland defense can really continue its dominance here in the second half.
And one thing we saw a little bit last week, especially on the Columbus East side when down at Columbus East with the Warriors game, is a lot of cramping and a lot of, dehydration late in the game. Hopefully something that doesn't happen here, but, it's almost inevitable. So we'll see how that takes a toll on the players here in this second half. Go ahead.
And obviously in that second half against Columbus East, Whiteland went on a 21-0 run to eventually win the game. Could we possibly see that here? Who knows? It's going to be a great half for football.
David Mathis to kick off the second half for the Warriors. And the second half is off. Deep to the other side of the field And it was muffed. It will be out of bounds. No, they'll rule it inside. It looks like down around the 22-yard line. And it was initially muffed by Moore.
So that's the second muffed kick by a Wildcat returner tonight. So that's something to note here throughout the rest of this game.
And that's especially dangerous on kickoffs because you don't even have to muff it. It's, anyone's ball once it crosses 10 yards. Trips to the top of the screen for Jones. Quick pass, and it's a hitch to Chandler for the 4th time today. We see that 3-receiver hitch right there.
Yeah, and that's what Whiteland has to adjust to. You see the interceptions on long passes, but Whiteland has definitely getting eaten up on them short passes, and they have to adjust to cover the man on those short passes.
So now Lawrence North comes out in the doubles formation. Moore takes a snap. Hands off to Richardson. Richardson has a lot of open room, gets the first down and a lot more. Down around the 40-yard line.
Richardson with just a bull rush, puts his shoulder down and just tries, and it's just a lot of power.
And we saw Richardson limited to his carries in that first half, and Montez Jones was just pass happy. But they look to get him involved a lot more. Once again, barreling over for the first down. Took about 4 Whiteland tacklers to bring him down.
Yeah, now you see 2 runs by Richardson in a row. You didn't see him run much in the first half, but when he did, he got far. However, it looks like he's injured coming to the sideline.
Well, maybe just a little fatigue there as DeMarco Wilson comes in. DeMarco Wilson, pardon me. They hand off to Wilson, and he has open room. Gets the first down and a few more yards after that. 13-yard carry for DeMarco Wilson.
And whereas Richardson was more of a power rusher, you can definitely see that he has got the more athletic ability.
Jones in the shotgun. Fakes the handoff. Read option. He'll take it himself. Gets about 5 yards before being brought down by Whiteland defenders. Yeah. And it'll be 2nd and 5 for the Wildcats.
Yeah, and unlike the first half, Lawrence North is definitely running the ball a bit more, and Whiteland is getting beat in that aspect of the game on defense. And so Whiteland has to adjust.
This is something we will see for the first time. Cale Mallory in at H-back, I believe, as I hand it off, dive play to Wilson. And usually when Mallory is in, they run more, power schemes or, more zone running. So he's in for the first time tonight as they look to get the run game started. 2 wide receivers to the bottom of the screen, 1 to the top.
For the Warriors, you got to watch for the hitch.
3rd and 3. Hand off to Richardson. He gets the first down. And he'll be down around the 20. So Lawrence North driving early.
Yeah, and last down, Richardson played. He came off the field limping. However, looks like he's fine now as he gets that first down for Lawrence North.
Doubles formation. Jones in the gun. They motion, and Jones pulls it. However, there's going to be a flag as he is about 5 yards. And this one looks to be on Davion Chandler. So they faked motion to Israel Jackson right there. And that's something we saw a couple times from Lawrence North last week. This is the first time they've displayed it. And that time Jones pulled it and kept it himself as they'll back up the Wildcats.
Yeah, penalties have been a big problem for both teams this game. Whiteland already has more than they did in the previous game, and they had that first half. Penalties can be a problem going forward in this game to, push the team back on offense or even add yards to, be a problem for the defensive team.
Receivers stacked at the top and bottom of the screen. Hand off to Richardson. He'll get another solid gain of about 5 or 6 yards on the carry. That'll bring up 2nd and 9 for the Wildcats.
Yeah, Richardson really now starting to get that workload as he's got as many rushes here on this drive as he did in the complete first half.
So now Lawrence North back in the doubles on the left hash. They signal Chandler in motion. And it's a sweep to Chandler. Runs into his own blocker and is forced out of bounds after a gain of maybe 1 or 2. However, Whiteland stuffed that one out pretty easily.
So a big 3rd down now coming up for the Warriors after another good Wildcat drive.
And if there were one play I would not want to run against a Whiteland defense, it would be sweep, because you know what they see every day in practice, it's that sweep. Trips to the bottom of the screen. Jones in the shotgun. 3-step drop. He fires and is picked off. Once again, Nyrus Moore-Smith. Moore-Smith makes a man miss. Moore-Smith down around the 10-yard line. The 3rd interception for the Warriors.
And that is so big for this Warriors defense as they allowed Lawrence North to get into the red zone, and they stopped them on the goal line with the interception by Moore-Smith. That's so big going into the rest of this game. It can change the momentum, not only for the defense, but for the offense.
And it was just a simple post route. Moore-Smith easily recognized it, undercut it, and made an athletic pick. And now the Warriors will take over at their own 10-yard line.
I mean, you cannot say goal line stand any better than the Warriors have shown tonight.
And it's the second time it's happened, too.
I know.
Warriors shift into the I form. Crowley in motion. And it'll be Emberton up the middle. He gets absolutely nowhere. And it looks like Lawrence North has figured out the key to stopping that inside run.
Yeah, such a good.
So we show you a replay of that interception from Moore-Smith, and just such a smart player at the corner position. They were reluctant to move him to the corner position, but man, he made some plays from there. Perkins in motion. Perkins reads his block, cuts back, and I believe gets about 7 to 8 yards on the carry. Not quite a first down. It'll depend on the spot, however.
And Perkins big on the defensive end early in the first quarter, and now you see him getting the run, and he almost gets a first down for Whiteland as it's about 3rd and 2 here with 7 minutes left in the quarter.
You almost would expect Denham or Emberton to take it up the middle here.
And it's a pitch to Emberton. He gets nowhere once again. I'll bring up 4th and short, and it'll be an interesting call for the Warriors.
First down.
Oh, no, they signal first down, so I guess he did get the yard that he needed.
It's just crazy for the Warriors right now. You know, a lot of running plays on offense, and you saw Lawrence North run the ball more. It's just a lot of running, and it's going to definitely slow each side's down, and they got to be wary of that.
Denham pitches to Perkins. Flag on the play, and this one might be coming back.
You know, the Warriors now playing a slower offense. I mean, you could chalk that up also to not as many big chunk plays thus far. I mean, it is just their first drive, so that is okay. But playing that clock.
And something to note right now that I can't help but mention, looks like backup quarterback for Lawrence North, Tanner Espeslet, is warming up, 6'4", sophomore. And he's warming up pretty intently on the sideline right now as Jones is with the rest of the team in the tent.
6'4" quarterback. That's a tough guy to bring down.
Warriors in the split back formation, 1st and a mile. Crowley in motion. But it's going to be Emberton up the middle. Sheds the first tackler, and Bull rushes his way to a 4-yard gain.
Yeah, just a great run by Emberton there to move it from 1st and long to 2nd and 13. You know, not the best gain you want, but it still gives the Warriors a better chance to a first down. Emberton had a great first half, and, you know, we have multiple options. You have Crowley, you have Moore Smith, and you have Perkins. Let's see where the Warriors go to the rest of this game.
Perkins, the lone runner in the backfield. And it's going to be another hitch to Gunnar Hicks. He'll get a few yards before being brought down. Gain of about 5 or 6 on the play. But that'll bring it to 3rd and manageable.
That's a nickname I can get behind, Hitch Hicks.
You know, as you saw Hicks with the big 4th down catch over towards the goal line, you know, that was a big play for Whiteland as they ended up getting a touchdown to make it 14-7 with Emberton. You know, 3rd down here, about 3rd and 6 it looks like. Let's see who the Warriors go to on this play.
Crowley in motion. Drop back again to Hitch. To Hicks. Pardon me. The back shoulder fade. Incomplete, but it draws a pass interference call.
It's big for Whiteland there as they would have been 4th down, but now with that pass interference, they get more chances on the offensive end.
Yeah, there was a lot of contact on that sideline. It seemed like both of them were playing hands. It does, but for the Warriors, it does go their way. So a first down, I am assuming. So yeah, defensive holding will make it first down.
In that back shoulder fade, that's one of the new routes in the Whiteland playbook. Usually it's just, you know, a fade where you just run as deep as you can, hope Kevo can hit you in stride, but they're really trying to work that back shoulder goal line type of fade. And something to look out for now with Brady Stanford in the game. Dive to Emberton. Emberton sheds a tackler, and darting down to the 50-yard line is Peyton Emberton, running with some enthusiasm.
Yeah, and you saw Jonathan Crowley have the big game against Columbus East. 8 attempts, 131 yards. But now you're seeing here the dual threat. You have Peyton Emberton tonight running the ball most of the time, and he's just getting so many yards and so many first downs that Whiteland just can't stop giving the ball to him.
Perkins in motion. And it looks like tried to draw him off sides, did not work. And now Emberton with another dive. Gets stopped after a gain of about 3. That'll bring up 2nd and 7 for the Warriors.
Warriors continuing to pound the inside. But why stop when it's not been stopped yet?
And think of the time they're running off the clock. Less than 4 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. Now the Warriors are only up 7, but the way they are, you know, taking control of this ball game, it seems like more of a commanding lead. The Warriors shift formation. Crowley in motion. And this time Slate Valentine. And some good effort. Gets him a gain of about 1 or 2. That'll bring up 3rd and very manageable 3rd and 5 right here for the Warriors.
Well, one thing you mentioned about the clock ticking down is we saw with the running from the Wildcat on their first drive, they got down the field in just about 2 minutes. Now Whiteland, they continuing their first drive of the half as they are just ticking down the clock, and they're continuing to push.
Warriors in the I form. Perkins in motion. And they hand off to Perkins. Perkins following Armstrong. And he will get down to about the 27, 28-yard line. However, there is some laundry down on the field.
Not unusual for the Warriors, but most of their offense has come from the run game. You know, they don't pass a lot according to Fisher's game plan, but tonight the run has been so detrimental to this Lawrence North defense.
Yeah, so this one will be coming back. It's an illegal block in the back. We're unsure of the culprit. However, it is a loss of yardage for the Warriors.
I think it was number 33, Devin Armstrong, as the culprit for the block in the back.
So they'll bring up third and about 4 or 5, a long 4. As Kevin Denham runs back to the huddle. Warriors taking so much time off the clock. We are now under 3 minutes left in the third quarter. However, Fisher calls a timeout. And I don't think he liked the look of the Lawrence North defense right there.
Yeah, you haven't seen many timeouts from Whiteland, in this game. You have most of them coming from Lawrence North, but it's a big timeout for Whiteland to get the momentum back on their side.
Well, we'd like to remind you that this broadcast of Whiteland football is brought to you by Johnson County Axe Throwing, located at 6001 North US 31 in Whiteland. Johnson County Axe Throwing is safe and fun for the whole family. With seasonal leagues, corporate events, and 50% off for military and their families, there's always something to love at Johnson County Axe Throwing, proud sponsor of the Whiteland Bee Sports Network. WBSN would also like to thank Title Bailey and Wood Mortgage Lender for being a title supporter of Whiteland Athletics. Family owned and committed to the community, Bailey and Wood Mortgage Lender.
The classic Sweet Caroline playing in the background really is kind of symbolic of how the Warriors are feeling right now. I mean, you're coming in playing this well against a 6A team that has proven themselves as a very good football team, and despite everything, they are continuing to push, continuing to do extremely well. Now as we enter the third down situation.
I think Sweet Caroline is, a good metaphor for the Warriors offense, just a tempo that's on slow and smooth. That's how they've run their offense all night. So the Warriors back in the I form. Third and manageable. Crowley in motion. Another dive to Emberton, and he has room to run. Gain of about 7 on the play. They'll bring up a Warriors first down.
Yeah, no matter what Lawrence North tries, Peyton Emberton just seems to break through the tackle and get an extra amount of yards every time. It's just crazy how he has changed from Columbus East to Lawrence North and, his game plan and how he attacks the defense.
And as much as we love Peyton Emberton, not all credit is due to him. This senior offensive line has done amazing all game. Emberton with another dive up the middle, this time stuffed, and I think I suffered the commentator's jinx right there.
Just a little bit. Yeah, the Wildcats brought on a full-on blitz. It looked like before he even got to the offensive line hole gaps where he usually goes, they were already there. So a very rare thing we've seen tonight, but the Wildcat defense does stop Emberton.
So it'll be 2nd and 11 for the Warriors. Single back formation. That back is Crowley. 3-step drop and another hitch to Gunnar Hicks. That'll be his third reception of the ball game. And that'll make it 3rd and 7.
And even though he didn't get that many yards there, you've seen that play as the passing play for Whiteland, and it's been executed greatly every time. Not getting the amount of yards you want, but you're still getting closer to that first down and to the goal line.
So now just over a minute to go in this third quarter, a third quarter that Whiteland has really just welted away with this offense. Single back formation again. However, they motion into the I form. Perkins on the sweep. And he gets a gain of about 5 before he's tripped up out of bounds. We'll bring up 4th and a very short 2.
Hey, like you saw in the first half, Whiteland went for it on 4th and 2-3 yards. Could they do it again? And could they execute it well again?
I believe that was a 4th and 7 that they went for it, and they threw the pass that, kind of shocked the world right there.
Fisher really playing it risky, but you know what they say, high risk, high reward in on that last 4th down attempt, it was definitely high reward.
Denham under center. Crowley in motion. Tried to get Lawrence North to jump. Did not happen. And now Peyton Emberton breaking free. Peyton Emberton, one man to beat, and they get him down around the 10 or 11 yard line. Peyton Emberton with an explosive run for the first down.
You know, Peyton Emberton with a great run there to get first down on a 4th and 3. But you got to give credit to the O-line there for Whiteland, as they provided so much coverage with those blocks to allow Emberton to get through.
I mean, explosive player, explosive play, explosive game. Peyton Emberton having himself one heck of a night. And like you said, credit does deserve to go to not just the O-line, but everyone blocking for Emberton.
So Whiteland coming out and empty once again. We've seen this a few times earlier. Perkins with the sweep, and that was shut down immediately. Also a flag on the play. And that was number 18, Tyshawn Woodson, the junior linebacker who made the stop. And they snuffed that one out immediately.
Yeah, Perkins, alongside the rest of the sweeping plays, have been relatively successful tonight. That one being snuffed out.
So now be, I believe, 2nd and long for the Warriors.
And again, penalties ruling the game here, as it seems like every time someone gets, you know, not the greatest run or even a great run, seems like there's always a penalty on the play.
So I said 2nd and long earlier. I stand corrected. It's going to be 1st and a mile due to that penalty. 1st and about 20, maybe even 25. And the Warriors will look to gain it back.
Yeah.
2.7 seconds left in this third quarter.
Yeah, and you say 1st and, you know, about 25. Although I would, even in late in this quarter, I would expect to see a run by Whiteland. You know, in some higher levels you see passes, but you can't risk the interception. And, you know, when you said 1st and 25, even though it's 1st and 25, it does look to be on the goal line. So even if they do get to a 4th down, it'll probably be a field goal next quarter.
So the ref's still working. Let's get the play clock running. And they'll let the time run out. So that will bring us to the end of the third quarter. We're going to take a break. You're watching Whiteland football on the Whiteland B Sports Network.
Water, you're going to want to look for weeds, sunken structures, down trees, stuff like that. And let that breeze tell you where you want to go. Windy days like this, those bait fish will come swimming closer to shore. They'll bring the big boys with them, those bass and those pike. Now, they like cooler temperatures, so you ain't likely to have much luck.
You're good at giving fishing advice. We're good at your insurance. Start with Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance and stop knocking on wood.
Hi, I'm Matt Wolford, president of the IHSAA Foundation, and we need your help. We need your help so the youth of our community can develop advanced leadership skills. We need your help giving high school administrators and coaches the instruction and insight they need to be better role models and teachers. To learn more or to make a tax-deductible contribution, go to IHSAAfoundation.org. You'll not only be contributing to the foundation of the IHSAA, you'll be contributing to the foundation of our community.
Welcome back to James Slater Field at Whiteland Community High School, where the Warriors still 7-point lead over the Lawrence North Wildcats, and they are commanding this lead. No matter how small the league might seem on paper, just the way they're taking time off the clock, it's really demolishing the spirit of the Wildcats.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jaden, the time of possession is so lopsided right now between both teams. You have the Wildcats who have, besides good field position based off of some punts or whatever the situation may be, their time of possession is just so quick because of these turnovers. They have 4 on the night. And so now with Whiteland, as they had that ball for, I would say, 80% of that quarter.
Hicks in motion. And it's going to be a pass. Denham can't escape the pocket. He is brought down by Carter McKinstry, the 5'10 junior linebacker.
You know, I mentioned him earlier. McKinstry just on those play action attempts does seem to just break through the line with ease. So that's one thing to note if the Warriors look to pass on future possessions.
And that's something that you rarely see from Fisher, passing on first down, no matter how long the first down was. But now it's, second and about, 31.
Yeah,
and
if
you
I
definitely
were,
want to avoid that situation.
And if I were the Warriors, I would run here and try to get closer to the field goal range for David Mathis to at least get some points on this drive if they do not get a first down.
More Smith in motion. And they're going to pass. They find Cooper. And he'll be down around the 20-yard line. He'll still be 3rd and a mile.
Like I said, inching closer to field goal range for David Mathis. Subjectively, you would think he would be in field goal range right here. But even with that, you still want to get as many yards as you can to get as close as you can for the higher percentage chance of the kick going through.
Warriors definitely in a tough position where, depending on how much yards is gained back here, will determine whether or not they go for the Mathis field goal or the 4th down attempt.
Crowley in motion. Hand off to Crowley. Crowley to the field side. Breaks 2 tackles, and he's down around the 10-yard line. That'll bring up 4th and about 9. So David Mathis and the kicking team will come out.
They look about 8 yards from the goal line. I would not rule out a fake here. I mean, it's obviously only a touchdown, but still, you never know what to expect when it comes to football.
Mathis on the left hash. Clock's still running. And it's right through the uprights. And the Warriors, with that, 3-point drive, took about a quarter of clock off the game.
Yeah.
So now that the Warriors make it a 2-possession game, you really are going to see probably a change back to how it was in the first half with the Wildcats. Obviously, Ollie Richardson had a great first drive for the Wildcats in the previous quarter. However, they only got 1 drive in, and it ended in an interception. So now it is a 2-score game. Even if they do score on this possession, they have to worry about the Whiteland offense draining that clock. So that's one thing to note.
Yeah, and that's one point to mention that Lawrence North, you don't know how many drives you have left. You're guaranteed at least 2 because of your timeouts. But that might be all you have. And they got to make as much happen in those 2 drives, especially with a 2-score deficit.
Yeah, even with Whiteland on defense, you can still push back the clock. You can, try to get them as far as they can from the first down. Even if they get that first down, just as much off the clock is big in the last 10 minutes of this game. It can be, good for the Warriors, bad for Lawrence North, or, it can just, anything can happen.
David Mathis to kick off. And deep to return is the duo of Moore and Chandler that have been ever so deadly to the kickoff team for Whiteland. And Mathis kicks it short. This one being returned. And David Mathis coming in with a big hit. And he was not letting them score that time. That was, I believe that was Del Howard III, the 5'9" wide receiver. Doesn't get too many reps on offense. But he took that and he went miles with it. And there was a player down on the field for Whiteland.
Yeah, that sucks. It really is tough to hear this late in the game to see one of our own go down, or any player in general. But as for the previous play, the Warriors, that's one thing to note going forward is we've got to work on that kickoff return unit, as it seems like every time they have a returner, they take it for 30, 40 yards.
And that player down was Caden Davidson, but he got back up with some enthusiasm right there.
Yeah, and that return by Lawrence North is not good for Whiteland as...
Well, actually, I believe it's getting called back. So I believe Caden Davidson was down from a block in the back that was called. And now Lawrence North will be trotting out to the field at their own 35-yard line.
Now that is big for Whiteland. As you saw, kick return come back to about Whiteland's own 33. But this is even better for Whiteland as now they get Lawrence North deeper in their own territory and, run back the clock. Like I said, you can do it on defense. You just got to hold them to as many third downs as you can, even fourth.
Remember, folks, as we come down here in the fourth quarter with 9:30 left, two-possession game, you have to remember Montez Jones, 3 interceptions already tonight. So that's one thing to note as we move forward.
And one score update that we just got from our producer, Decatur Central is down 35-0 to New Palestine. Yeah, so I believe New Palestine, they beat Westfield, who was in the state championship last week, and now they're up 35-0 on Decatur. As a hitch to Chandler is complete, and he'll get about 10 yards. And that will signal a Wildcats first down, and the Wildcats going hurry up right now. Still trips to the left. And Decatur is actually facing Whiteland next week in Decatur. Jones, the hitch to Chandler once again, and they are eating that up. I believe that's the 6th or 7th time that Chandler has caught that hitch.
Yeah, and like I said, coming into the second half, those long passes are where Whiteland's winning, but on the short passes, Lawrence North is hurting Whiteland. Whiteland needs to read those better, but once maybe you read those better, it could go back to a long pass, and that could also be bad.
Now in the doubles. Jones checks down to Richardson. Richardson's second catch of the evening. And he'll get the first down for the Wildcats.
Yeah, to go back on what you were saying, Michael, to cover Chandler's hitch, you got to look at who's on that area, whether that's Jakari Oliver or Dalton Hughes. That's one guy that you've got to cover.
And you have trips to the left again. And they intended that hitch. Jones is going to fire deep. And it's broken up by Perkins. He had Jackson wide open. But Perkins with a tremendous effort to break up that pass.
Yeah, and Perkins with the big interception in the first half. Obviously, you saw the long pass like that, and when Perkins intercepted it. But this time, you don't really need to go for the interception. You just have to break it up, and that was big for Perkins right there.
Perkins is a no-fly zone today.
So again, trips to the left. And they shut down the hitch last time. We'll see if they can do it again. They throw the hitch, but he is blown up instantly by Caden Davidson.
Yeah, just a better read on that short pass play there by Whiteland's defense, and that was big because, short passes have been hurting them, and that's just change for the momentum.
And now in the game, we have Cameron Hagler, who is at wide receiver. And they throw the hitch this time to Lomax. He's brought down by, guess who, Caden Davidson, who's making 2 tackles now on this drive.
Caden Davidson really has kind of been told, hey, you've got to watch the hitch, and he has thus far.
Jones drops back, throws to Lomax, and he's forced out of bounds by Perkins.
And like you said, Davidson has been told to really find that short pass earlier. You saw him down for a little bit of time, but it looks like he's fine, and he's just powering through and, trying to stop this Lawrence North offense.
Jones with the double set. Drops back. And this is an errant throw. Goes to Moore Smith, and Moore Smith is taking it the other way. One man to beat, and that's the quarterback, and he's going to do it. A pick six for Nyrus Moore-Smith, his second interception of the game, and that could possibly seal it for the Whiteland Warriors.
What a game we are having. Whiteland with no interceptions coming into this game. They get 4, and the last one is the biggest one with Moore-Smith going all the way downfield for the touchdown. It's so big for Whiteland right here.
You know, one thing I wanted to mention before that play, but I didn't want to interrupt, was the fact that they have struggled in that area of the field from the 30-yard line in all night long, and now a lofty throw, Moore-Smith just takes it to the house. We know his speed, and he does it. What a play for Whiteland to take the lead even further.
And that just changes the momentum because it's not only just a 2-score game, it's a 3-score plus a field goal.
So now David Math is on for the point after attempt. And with that right down the middle, the Warriors take a 24-7 lead over the Lawrence North Wildcats. What a turnaround of events. Let's take a look at this replay. You see, he just tried to check down to Richardson, and Moore-Smith read it perfectly. An errant pass. He had one man to beat, who was the quarterback, and he did so for the touchdown. Nyrus Moore-Smith. Remember the name. 2 picks, one for a house call. And that's not even including what he's done on offense so far today.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this Whiteland defense tonight, 2 picks from Moore-Smith, which is insane itself. That's a total of 5 turnovers tonight, 4 interceptions off of Montez Jones.
And the muff punt, too.
And the muff punt.
Yep. So the no-fly zone has been active tonight. Moore-Smith with 2, Perkins with 1, Kaligbo with another 1, and 3 of those in a red zone scenario.
And, diverting from the topic of the interceptions, you have 4 and you have the muff punt, and you almost have that kick that you got over here. But I want to credit David Mathis because on every touchdown, he is 7 of 7 on extra points this season. I mean, it may not seem like that big, but when you can make extra points, it changes how the teams play. It changes how their defense runs. It changes how the opposing team's offense is. And just great kicking from David Mathis so far this season.
Well, credit where credit's due. Mathis also with a field goal tonight.
So a 24-7 lead. 7:22 left in the game. And Mathis to kick off once again. And they loft this one deep to Chandler. He has been dangerous so far. Running to the field side. Now cuts it up the middle. And he's brought down by a gain of Warriors.
Not a bad return by Chandler there off of, Whiteland's offense. If you're Lawrence North, you just got to get something going, in this late game. You're never out of it. So you just got to keep pushing until the clock says 0.
And speaking of the clock, 7:15 left in this fourth quarter.
And it looks like Montez Jones's night is up as it appears that...
Yeah, it's Tanner Espezlet, the backup quarterback, getting his first varsity licks right now. 6'4", sophomore.
If I were him in this position, I'll just looking to begin as many yards as I can.
Espezlet throws the hitch to Chandler. Chandler breaks a tackle, and he's brought down by Stanifer giving chase. So Espezlet, no varsity experience, but, in a game that has kind of gotten away from the Wildcats, smart move by the coaches to get him some reps, especially with the lack of depth at the quarterback position.
Yeah, just seeing what, your backups can do is big, and as you see...
And a hitch to Chandler results in a fumble. We're waiting for the signal, and they rule it an incomplete pass, and say Chandler never hauled it in to begin with. So what could have been a 6th turnover in this game for Lawrence North, a game that has been dictated by the turnovers, but it's ruled, however, an incomplete pass. Trips to the bottom of the screen for a Spezlet. Spezlet drops back under pressure, and he will be sacked. Mason Darlington. Bull rushing his way through the line.
And that makes it third and very long for Lawrence North here, trying to get minutes for Spezlet, and now it's run away from them.
It really has been a momentum-based game, and Whiteland, the entire game, anytime the Wildcats build anything up, the Warriors just take it away, and all the momentum is in Whiteland.
Trips to the bottom of the screen, third and about 20. Spezlet fires deep, and it's going to be way overthrown. That'll bring up fourth down and about 20.
And, just great defense by Whiteland, showing off that they have that man-to-man coverage that they didn't show against Columbus East. But tonight, so far, only holding Lawrence North to 7 points, all in the first half. You saw they allowed Columbus East to none in the second half. And so far, there's an egg on the score sheet.
And the crowd here knows that they are going crazy. They know how momentous this win could be. As there's just over 6 minutes left in this fourth quarter. Hargrove to punt. And it looks like we might have a delay of game penalty.
And it looks like you're right.
That just pushes the punt farther back, allowing Whiteland to get it closer to the end zone, even in this high-score game, seeing if Whiteland can rack on a few more points to put it out of sight for Lawrence North.
And who else to return but Jonathan Crowley? Had 88 return yards last week. Punt is off from Hargrove. And friendly bounce for Lawrence North. He'll be pinned inside the 25 around the 24-yard line. And the Warriors will trot out on the field.
24-7. That is just incredible. And when you look at it, it really has been the tale of the turnovers. 5 turnovers on the night. We keep mentioning it, but 5 turnovers is a great, great number in any sort of level of play.
Great time to remind you this broadcast of Whiteland football is brought to you by Johnson County Axe Throwing, located at 6001 North US 31 in Whiteland. Johnson County Axe Throwing is safe and fun for the whole family. With seasonal leagues, corporate events, and 50% off for military and their families, there's always something to love at Johnson County Axe Throwing, proud sponsor of the Whiteland Beat Sports Network. Denham under center. Toss to Emberton once again. Get a game of about 1 or 2. And it'll be second and a long 8.
At this point in the game, you probably won't see too many, or if any, flashy plays for the Warriors. Probably a lot of inside runs, as they're just trying to drain the clock now.
If I were Ryland, I would just keep getting those runs and seeing who can provide for you later in the season. Obviously, you see Emberton, Moore Smith, Perkins, and Crowley, but just seeing any other people who can get you yards.
Emberton up the middle. He has room. Emberton barreling down to the Warriors' 37-yard line. 39-yard line. They gave him the extra 2 right there on the dive.
Emberton just continues to bowl. I don't know how much he currently is at, but I would reckon between 150 and 200 yards on the night.
Yeah, Emberton just having an unbelievable night for the Warriors here. Obviously, you saw Crowley last week, but Whiteland has so many players that can provide for them.
Denham under center. Perkins in motion. Emberton once again makes a man miss, and he's brought down around midfield.
Another first down for Emberton here.
Well, we'll wait on the spot for that. And, yeah, they're going to signal first down. They're going to bring the chains down. and the Warriors just milking way more clock.
Just crazy for Whiteland tonight. I mean, their defense has been unbelievable, forcing 6 turnovers. You know, penalties were looking like to be a factor in this game, but, you know, in the end of this game, you haven't seen many, you know, thrown.
Denham under center. No motion needed as they just dive to Emberton once again, this time for a gain of 3.
You know, one thing I've talked about all night long has been momentum, and what better momentum, not just to start your season 1-0 to your and winning your home opener against Columbus East. Not only is it not momenting to win your home opener against a 6A school, but just seeing how well everyone has played for the Warriors, especially heading into Decatur next week, that is huge.
Crowley in motion. Crowley with the sweep. Cuts it upfield. However, there is Laundry down on the field. And that'll probably negate the first down run.
You know, as I said, there haven't been much penalties in the late stages of this game. And you see one thrown out there. Looks to be on Whiteland. But, however, you got to be happy with how Crowley ran there. You know, seeing as he can get through this defense as well as Emberton has and as well as the other runners have. You know, going into next week's game against Decatur Central, it's going to be all-out battle for Whiteland and Decatur. Hoping to see, you know, a lot of yards on the running game from Emberton, Crowley, and Mooresmith and Perkins to see what they can do.
So that'll be 2nd and 15 now. Well, 2nd and 14, pardon me, for the Warriors. After the, I believe it was a holding penalty. And they're continuing to let time spill off the clock. Still about 15 seconds on the play clock. I bet you we have another 10 before Denham takes a snap. Perkins in motion. Dive to Emberton. And he's brought down after a gain of about 4. It'll be 3rd and 10 for the Warriors. So looking ahead to next week, Decatur, as we got the update earlier, losing very badly to New Palestine. And Decatur kind of had a decline. They lost a really good senior class. They lost the Hicks twins. They lost, I believe it was Javon Tracy, who's now at Miami of Ohio, getting receiver reps there. So the Warriors have a very, very good shot at Mid-State Conference.
Especially after tonight's showcase.
Steele in motion. Austin Steele, the senior sweeper, getting his first play in at varsity. As Emberton dives forward for a gain of 2. That'll bring up 4th and 9 for the Whiteland Warriors. And I believe it'll be Dalton Hughes out to punt once again.
Yeah, and as you said, New Pal up against Decatur Central. They're up big going against Decatur Central. And as you said, conference matchup. I would be weary of New Pal now. You know, seeing as they beat Westfield and now they're up big against Decatur, seeing what they can do, you know, later on in the season against Whiteland and against other teams.
Dalton Hughes to punt. Chandler deep to return once again. And this punt was deflected. It's only going to go to about the 40-yard line before the Warriors hop on it. And that was Samarian Ford, the kind of spark plug of this Lawrence North defense. We haven't called his name too much tonight, kind of been, you know, an absence of a spark plug on the Lawrence North defense that has led to this Warrior domination. But he has definitely got to look out for it down the line, talking about Lawrence North's upcoming season.
Definitely. And now with Lawrence North being able to see the reps of guys that, you know, probably don't get a whole lot of reps in normal competitive games. So seeing what they'll be able to do is big for depth.
This Bezlet takes a snap. He's going to chuck it deep. He has a brilliant catch from Mario Lomax. the juggling act. He was guarded tightly by Malik Perkins. And we've seen a couple of those throws that get underthrown, and they've resulted in interceptions from Perkins, Kaligbo, Moore Smith. But finally, Espezlet is the quarterback to put it on the money, and Mario Lomax just hauled that one in. A beauty of a catch.
You know, and with 1 minute left to go in this quarter, up 3 possessions, you know, that even if with a touchdown here, Lawrence North still has a bit of room. But that was just an amazing catch by Lomax there.
Throw to the corner of the end zone, and Jackson cannot make the adjustment. Guarded by Grandetti. He was the closest. Grandinetti was the closest defender in proximity.
Going back to that catch by Lomax, I mean, give Perkins his credit. Perkins covered him very well, tipped the ball and everything, but, you know, that was just a circus act to catch that ball, and credit where credit's due.
And Lomax, the lone senior in that receiving core for Lawrence North, making a huge play, but it looks like it's going to be too little too late for the Wildcats. Espezlet drops back, fires across the middle, and the pass is broken up by Grandinetti once again. That one intended for Israel Jackson. 50.8 left to go in this game. And it'll be 3rd and 10 for the Wildcats.
I mean, even with this mostly out of reach and Whiteland picking up a big win, you still see Whiteland's defense fighting on that man-to-man coverage not to allow any more points by Lawrence North in this game.
Trips to the top of the screen. Spezlet drops back, throws to the backside. He has Lomax, and he holds it in. We're waiting on the ruling, and it'll be a touchdown for the Wildcats. Mario Lomax with 2 massive catches right there to bring it within 2 scores. However, only 45.6 seconds left in this game.
You know, like you said, 45 seconds, even with an onside kick, you still have to get that recovery, and you still have to score 2 times plus maybe 2 extra points, plus a field goal, plus anything. You still have to get those points, and that will be tough for Lawrence North to do.
Well, they're going to go for 2 because why not? Empty set. Espezlet. Reading, under pressure, and he is brought down around the 2 or 3 yard line, so the Wildcats will now have to kick off down by 11 points.
Now, even though they're down by 11, I would be surprised to see an onside kick here as there's only 45 seconds left. You know, not much of a chance for Lawrence North, but, you know, just 2 great teams putting on a show for the fans here. See Whiteland on the defensive end, and you see some great plays here late from Lawrence North. Just a great overall game to be a fan of Whiteland and of Lawrence North.
Credit to Tanner Espezlet putting himself in late in the game and putting himself in a nice drive. You know, finally a deep ball that works for Lawrence North.
This will be a great time to remind you. WBSN would like to thank Title Bailey and Wood Mortgage Lender for being a title supporter of Whiteland Athletics. Family owned and committed to the community, Bailey and Wood Mortgage Lender. So now the Warriors kickoff return team trots out onto the field. It'll be Matt Dempsey to kick off this time for the Wildcats after the late score.
Depending how this return goes, if I were the Warriors, I would just let the play clock run down all the way. And if you're about to get a delay of game penalty, just spike the ball or take a knee.
Well, they go for the onside kick. And there was a flag. It looks like it would be a false start. Or an offsides penalty, I guess, on the Wildcats. I assume they would elect to re-kick, but that will back them up 5.
Yeah, and I'm actually surprised to see the onside kick there. I mean, you're only down 11. You still have a chance if you get a quick touchdown and then another onside kick. But it's still surprising to see with 45 seconds and, you're putting your subs in on the offensive end. And they got it done last possession, but you're still hoping to see attempts and good ones.
So they're kicking it in the direction of Davidson and Grandinetti. Also Jakari Oliver back there, who has been pretty quiet tonight from the middle linebacker position. Kick is on its way. And it looks like it'll go out of bounds. Warriors ball.
It almost looked like a Wildcat had it, but got hit as soon as he had his hands on it and then caused the ball to go out.
Yeah, the kick had a high bounce, allowing Lawrence North to almost get the ball. Whiteland still ends up with the possession, though, with 42 seconds. And let's see what they do here. I'm assuming they're going to run out the clock, though.
I would assume just 2 or 3 Denham kneels.
Warriors trot out. And it'll be Denham under center. Crowley in motion, and they hand it off to Emberton again. Emberton with room to run. And that might as well be the last play.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to let the clock run out as Whiteland looks to take this big victory against Lawrence North. Just a great display on defense and offense for Whiteland. Going against a great team in Lawrence North, and they just absolutely dominated on both sides of the ball.
So the final seconds tick off the clock now, and we have your final score. Warriors 24, Lawrence North 13, and the Warriors definitely looking to build on this win next week at Decatur Central, and that would be a huge win, especially in terms of conference play. But the Warriors tonight are victorious, and what were the keys to the game for you guys?
Oh, well, obviously, when you look at it, the biggest key, turnovers. 5 turnovers, almost 6. Times where there could have been more, but with 5 turnovers, that, especially a pick 6 to seal off the game, any hope for a comeback, 5 turnovers is impressive at any level of play. And the fact that, you had Nyers Smith with 2, the recovered punt by the long snapper. You had Malik Perkins, who played great against Lomax. That was my biggest key of the game.
You said turnovers were your key to the game, and they were obviously very big at times for the Warriors. Ended up sealing the deal, 24-13. However, one of the things that goes understated in my mind was the O-line. You saw them putting on blocks for Emberton. You saw them putting on blocks for every runner that tried to get through the Lawrence North defense, and they eventually got through, whether it be with the broken tackles or the blocks from the O-line. They got through for big runs, changing the momentum for this game for the Warriors to eventually pull out for the W against Lawrence North.
Well, as I mentioned before, the Warriors travel to Decatur next week. Lawrence North will travel to Lawrence Central, making the short trip for their rivalry matchup. Both those games starting at 7 Eastern time. And that'll knock down Lawrence North to 1-1 on the year with a win against Avon last week. Whiteland will obviously advance to 2-0 after they beat Columbus East, and now you see the student section storming the field right now, and it looks like coaching staff telling them to hold off a little bit. But boy, is everyone amped around here after this win.
I mean, it's just such a big win for the Warriors going against a 6A team, a team they rarely go against, because they're 5A. But it's just so big, this win, because it changes the momentum, going into the next games. Whiteland is going to have a higher precedent to, fill, and it's just so big for the momentum.
And now the players going to celebrate with the student section, as just like they did at Columbus East even. It's just great sight to see because there were a lot of doubts going into this game, especially in the secondary, that were obviously alleviated. But after Columbus East, there were some doubts about, how could that backside of the defense, being completely new to that phase of the game after losing, Jacob Smith and Quinn Warwick and Ethan Tanner from last year. You have a whole new four in that defensive backfield, and obviously they alleviated fears.
All right, well, it was just a great overall game, and see that hope to continue into next week against Decatur, as I am assuming Decatur fell to New Palestine. It was a great game tonight.